you're the best. Forever you'll impress, you love yourself again and again. Cause Nick believes in you. Oh, Nick, he does, it's true. Nick believes in you, he believes it. Nick believes in you, he believes it. Nick believes in himself too. Nick's reflection is only truth. Admiring eyes of the one who needs no proof. In every mirror, his heart beats confess. Nick's his own true love. Nothing more, nothing less. With the world as his stage, he takes his bow, applauding himself. He doesn't need us anyhow. No, he. Oh, Nick, he's the star in his own play. In his grand play. Hearts in the audience, but he just sways. He sways away to the rhythm of his ego that's never at rest. For Nick's own admiration, he'll always confess. Self-catching his eye in the window's gleam. Oh, that gleam.
XboxEra is about to enter its 5th year, and that's all thanks to you. If you're new here, let me fill you in. XboxEra is a platform for the Xbox community with best-in-class forums, a kick-ass Discord server, and of course XboxEra.com, chock full of the latest news, reviews and more, all focused on your favourite platform, Xbox. It's every Xbox fan's gateway to the best of XboxEra. Our incredible podcast listened to in over 50 countries across the planet, our own digital store for games and codes, our merch store for the coolest of Xbox threads, and of course Day One, where you can track, rate and discuss your favourite games on Xbox Game Pass. XboxEra is built for you, and it's completely funded by you. If you value having a publication truly focused on your preferred place to play, you can support us directly via Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra. You get cool swag and awesome perks, and we get to keep doing what we do. Become a part of the best Xbox community on the internet and help us build the next 5 years of XboxEra. Thank you for your support. Despite the fact that the team running XboxEra haven't been to journalism school, we're still lucky enough to be supported by some incredible people. While we adore all of our patrons, we have to give a very special shout out to our executive producers who go above and beyond for this team, allowing us to achieve so much more than we could without them. Assassin Entertainment, Croat56, Frankie C, Jordan White, Kevin S, Korkenstein, Mohammed Sherez, Not Jack, Top, and a special shout out to Grand Benefactor Torn Raptor. You guys are fucking awesome, and we love you. If you want to become legend like this lot, head to patreon.com/XboxEra. Gather round, friends. It's episode 211 of the XboxEra podcast. And we're here to talk about all the news across the gaming industry. It's been an absolutely brilliant week and no one's in a bad mood. We've got Kay here. We've got Jesse. We've got no Nick to take us on a 5-hour rant about everything. It'll be fine. We're obviously here to talk about all that news. We're focused on your current favourite platform. Is this the right words to use? Xbox? I don't know.
For the average user, nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. If you're listening to this on audio platforms, maybe you don't even follow any of this crazy goings on in the industry, but you'll find out through the course of this episode. If you love what we do and want to support us directly, you can head to patreon.com/XboxEra or become a YouTube member right in the chat. As always, keep your eyes peeled on XboxEra.com for all the latest and greatest in Xbox news. Hi, Kay. How are you doing? Thanks for stepping in.
Good day, good day. Yeah, I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's been a sunny day. I've caught the sun again.
Have you played any good games recently?
Yeah, I have. Arguably, I played one of the seminal coming of age, the games industry has grown up games recently. But I'll talk about that in a second. Before that, we obviously need to check in with our producer, the backbone of Xboxera, the man who is more sensible than a pair of sensible shoes. Jesse Norris.
Wow.
How are you doing, Jesse?
I've been called a loser. I've been called a degenerate. I've been called a shill,
But never
a
sensible
sycophant.
shoes.
Yeah, I've been called mostly negative things this week for just trying to not always assume I know everything that's going on everywhere. Oh, and that's been
That's
good.
a smart. See, it's very sensible, like a sensible pair of
But being
shoes.
sensible.
The sensible shoes of the Xbox era. Okay.
When people are doing their best to be as rage baity as possible, not giving in means you're being defensive, I guess. That's what I've learned this week.
Yeah, and that's a silly point of view. I know, and look, I get what the industry is and what content creation is, particularly for folks on YouTube, is people want to see the rage because apparently it's entertaining. But I say that pretend negativity, even negativity for entertainment's sake, is so absolutely fucking draining. Who would want to do that? Not I. But there you go. Hello, chat. Lovely to see you all. Is Special Nick in the chat? Oh, he is. Of course,
He is.
He can't
He
say
is.
that.
Oh, I'm gonna. It's Mother's Day. I hope
You
Nick's
don't
mother
get
is having a lovely
to
day.
make those jokes, John. You missed last week. You're missing next week. Shush.
Not by choice.
Doesn't
Not
matter.
by choice. Oh, okay. It's been a week, but before we get into all of the news, what have we been playing? You know, Kay, you asked that salient question, and we may as well start with you. So, what have you been playing? What have you been spending your leisure time with this week in video games?
So I have been slowly sipping the fine wine that is Harold Halibut. I have been enjoying that. I find it odd that I end up playing that on the biggest screen possible because it seems like a little game that you would play on your little machine, but I end up putting it on the old 4K, the 4K of like get the 4090 going, and you can zoom in, and it's just like,
Do you know
these
why?
things are amazing. Why?
It's because it looks so real. Because it is.
It is so real. It is just so real looking. And shout out to the man Lucius Augustus in the chat. He recommended that. He's like, we were talking about it. It's a little slow to start, but
Yeah, I'm
he tells me
curious
that
as to
there's.
your thoughts.
Yeah, he tells me that there's a specific pivot point that it gets to that just really like crystallizes the idea of what this is, and you should at least get there. So I've been plugging away at it and really, really having a good time with it. I've been enjoying myself. It's quite good. You can see the heart and soul on display in every frame. It's really, really good. They did a great job with it. So that's been my indie fare. So it's that and another game that oddly enough Lucius also recommended to me, which is funny.
He's a knowledgeable man.
He's a knowledgeable man, and he's been playing these games, and I have been taking his recommendations. Oddly enough, this one though ended up on the old PlayStation. Yes. So I don't even know if, and I'll look it up real quick. I don't even know if it is or will be on Xbox at some point. I hope it is.
Is this Animal Well?
Yes.
Yeah, they
Animal
commented. Well. They said they are looking in. It's in their plans.
Mm-hmm.
They had a PlayStation Plus
it
deal.
Is,
it makes sense why they put
okay. Yeah. I like my first thing was, hey, let me go to Steam and buy it, and then just something told me to turn on PlayStation Plus. I never turn on PlayStation Plus. And seriously, I never do. A year has gone by. It lapsed on me. I'm like, why don't I ever do this? So I turned it on, and Animal Well is life.
What,
like,
explain this
on
to me.
a
I've
day,
not paid attention. What is Animal Well?
It is 33 megabytes.
Please
large.
don't pay attention. Yes, it is 32. It is the new Vampire Survivor. It is the new, and what I mean by that is not. It's a little different. It's not concentrated gameplay that just.
I'm
makes
watching
it
the Steam trailer
transcend,
right now.
which even itself is a spoiler. That's the problem. You shouldn't watch anything about it. You should just kind of go in fresh. It is like magical. It's what you remember Nintendo used to give you, right? That whimsy fare, that stuff that you're just like, man, you can play this for like.
Mm-hmm. Is it kind of like when you look at the manual of Tunic and you realize what's going on there?
Kind of like that. Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I know exactly what you're talking about. Have you played Fez? Have you finally
long
cracked
time ago.
Fez?
Yes.
Yes.
I did not crack
it is
Fez.
like
But yes, I've played it.
There's a place where you can crack Fez, and you're just like, I get it. That's this game, right?
Okay.
And my son has been playing it. My 5-year-old has been playing it, and I've just been a proud papa watching him play it and figure it out. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's great in the world of gloom and doom and all this sadness. And in between my plays of Hades 2, which took me 36 hours, but I beat the first one. I beat the first row. I got through it.
Nice.
36 hours, But Animal Well, oh my God, what a game. It's quite something. It's magical.
Wow. Okay. I'll put it on my list to watch out for. Yeah, I mean, Howard Halibut, you're right. It is a gorgeous looking game. And I used the word incredible when I described it. It was one of the opening lines in my review. Because I think it is an incredible achievement. But I think, and it's just my personal opinion, obviously, I know the bit you're referring to, and I don't know if you've got there yet, and I won't spoil it.
I haven't gotten there yet. No.
Maybe making that journey for themselves. But I think I stand by what I said. Like, I understand what the intent was, and I love that it exists because it's such a singular... This isn't some corporate mandate from on high. This is this group of people's particular vision. But I also think they could have had an editor cut about 5 hours of endless back and forth.
So my buddy, Mr.
I mean?
Everborn Saga, told me that you can tell that they took a long time getting this process down. And because of that, we are not cutting any of this footage. This is good stuff right here. Do you know how many hours it took us to do this? And
Sunken
you can tell
cost
that's all over
fallacy.
the screen.
Yeah. But no,
it's
I
really
get it.
good. It's good.
It's a
I really
beautiful
love
game.
it. Yeah.
It's a beautiful game. Jesse, in a relatively busy, surprisingly, things keep cropping up. What have you been playing this week? What about you?
So I'm working on reviews for Hypercharge Unboxed and System Shock Remake. I have System Shock Remake on PC, so I can't say anything about the console port. But for the PC version, that thing was kind of messed up at launch. Is in a really good place now on PC. Looks beautiful, and that game really holds up like way better than most things that have been ported by Night Dive that I've done recently. Like, I had so much more fun playing that on PC than I did doing like the Star Wars Dark Forces stuff. Like, I don't think those ones hold up nearly as well. System Shock still feels mwah. But things I can't talk about was Hades 2, just playing the ever-loving shit out of it. It's already better than the first one, which is crazy because it's early access, but it doesn't feel early access. It feels like they've nailed for their first sequel, and everyone's like, it's just more Hades. It's like, yes, good. Hades was incredible. Making that even better, like, just perfect. And I've gotten through a few times. I'm roughly similar hours to Kay because I had to jump off for other stuff. It was very hard not talking about it at all while having it, because everyone's like, we don't know when the early access is coming out. And so I had to like make sure I was hiding that it was running on my computer all day. Incredible on the Legion Go. That game is as light as it gets. It's probably almost as light as Animal Well, despite being bigger. I'm getting 700 FPS on PC. It doesn't care.
Yep.
It doesn't take anything. It's I hope they do 120 FPS mode on consoles this time, because you look at it, there's no reason it shouldn't be able to do that. You would very much think that this game can hit 120 locked on everything, essentially. Well, and it feels better.
Like it should run at 60 frames per second on a Switch. It's that well optimized.
Yeah, it's the same engine, isn't it? They've just made improvements along the way.
Yeah, it's incredibly pretty, but yeah, it's The other thing was Little Kitty Big City, which I did a review for. One of our guys who used to like be nice and happy in chat, but got really mad at me because I joked on the forums and on the Discord that
Game of the Year.
Yeah, I was like, this is a shoo-in for Game of the Year as a joke, because it was just a really cute, fun game. I gave it a 7.5. It's really good. You can beat it in half an hour if you really want to just immediately run for all the fish. You shouldn't, though, because the entire point of the game is just going around this city, doing dumb cat shit, getting funny writing, and it's very pretty and relaxed and very fun.
My son's been playing it all day, and I was downstairs and I could just hear meow, meow, meow.
Yeah, press X
and I
to
thought
meow.
it was my cat, and I was like, "Who's meowing up there?" And I go in and he looks around the door and he's just mouthing meow when he's pressing the button. And I'm just like, you're an idiot. But he's having a lot of fun.
But yeah, your trigger, the trigger buttons are your paws for swiping things off of, like you just knock everything off. Yeah, it's just being a cat. It's exactly what people kind of hoped Stray would be, but Stray was more a narrative with very direct, interactable button prompts. This is just a little third cats and adventure game with some very light puzzle stuff, and yeah, it's great. A good get. A great week for indies.
Yeah, I'm seeing in the chat people are requesting you turn up your mic.
I have already. It should be fine now.
Jolly good, jolly good. I can see Xbox Expansion Pass in the chat. Hey Luke, hope you're well. Lots of people in the chat today. Everyone's obviously in a bit of a. Everyone's in their feels this week. And for good reasons. We're gonna. I mean, I haven't been playing. I can't talk really much about what I have been playing. I have been playing. I think I've already said it in headlines. I've been playing Braid Anniversary Edition for review. Now, I can talk about how I felt about the original Braid back in 2008. Seminal moment in the indie scene. You know, this was back when Xbox Live Arcade and Summer of Arcade was this big thing, and Microsoft really picked like 4 delicious indies, you know. And it's weird, people think of Braid as this big moment, and it was like it made this big wave across the industry. Castle Crashers got more players, I'm just saying. All right, like Castle Crashers was more popular, but I think Braid is definitely, for the arty-farty indie lover that I am, Braid ticks that box. So I've been playing through the Anniversary Edition, and you can look forward to my full review
closer to lunch. Never give an actual relative time frame.
I haven't. Okay.
Yeah, you did.
That's the one. I said, well, you know,
no,
closer to launch.
Most indie games.
When's launch? When does the game launch?
Most indie games can, like Little Kitty Big City was pretty much right at launch.
Wow.
Yeah. Indie games like doing that.
But, you know,
sometimes they mess up and then they're like a day after launch. And even when you tell them that, they're like, nah, just don't.
Stick to the embargo.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. But yes, there you go. That's everything we've been playing. In terms of the site this week, XboxEra.com has had a bunch of news published throughout. We've seen lots of bits. We're going to talk about a lot of that today. I put out a big opinion piece on how everybody's feeling. So if you haven't watched that video, you know, feel free to, because
me
took quite a lot of effort into it. But, you know, just saying. All right, let's talk about it. Let's get this over with. The big news, the big ticket item. What is going on at Microsoft, ladies and gentlemen? What is happening over there? Arkane Austin, Tango Gameworks, Roundhouse Studios, Alpha Dog Games, Roundhouse consolidated. The other 3 closed. How are we feeling about that? Kay, I want to come to you first because I haven't spoken to you about this directly. How are you? What are your thoughts? How are you feeling about what Microsoft has just done, and what does it mean to you?
It's disappointing. You know, it's disappointing. Obviously, you never want to hear or see that these studios are closing. It's always a matter of bad timing on top of bad timing on top of bad timing, right? You would say how Insomniac Games have put PlayStation on their back, so too did Tango basically almost give Microsoft and Xbox the needed critical darling for a while there, right? There was talk of there should be a Netflix show and all these other things, you know, and they were touting their metrics of success and all of this, and now to see where it falls, obviously as a consumer, you know, there are a lot of questions that you don't understand and all of this, and you know, and I'm sure we'll get into those details, but it's just basically off the rip. My initial thoughts was complete disappointment. Now, I may be one of the rare few who's just as sad about Arkane Austin as I am about Tango Gameworks, because I love Dishonored 1 and 2. I do. I think it's completely underrated. You know, it is
cult classics, right? Like Jesse's a big fan of both.
I love Prey. I love Prey with all of my heart. I actually love Prey, the original human head Prey, the Native American protagonist Prey, and then I loved the remake Prey, both of them. I love it. I remember playing it vividly. I've played Prey countless times. It's on most of my handhelds. So to me, the loss of Arkane Austin, although it seems like it's more a consolidation of Arkane Austin with Arkane Lyon more, because like some of the folks kind of transitioned back and forth. Not everybody made it out unscathed, but it looks like it's more of a consolidation. But still, you know, people are just like, Redfall. And I'm just like, calm down. Like,
Redfall, I mean, you know. Jesse, I'll let Jesse pipe up on Redfall in a second.
Yes.
Redfall, and I have to say this out loud, even though it's probably going to paint the target on my back, but I can't be alone in thinking this. This same, and I know I've put out an opinion piece that talks about why people are feeling this way, and we'll get into that as well in a second. I just want to caveat this, that you're going to, you know, you're not going to see us baying for blood here, because we're adults. And yes, we understand the feelings and we understand the loss of the jobs. We also understand how businesses work, and we understand, or at least we can put some conjecture towards the why they've done this. We'll get to that in a second. But no, super chat, I can see here from FBI agent, time's out, Phil's got to go. I mean, I can't say that because I don't have all of the information, right? Yeah. You're saying that, and I want to make this clear. This isn't going to be this defense force, right? I think Microsoft have made a mistake, personally. But you can't just immediately call for people to be fired. I don't think that that's fair, because we don't have all of the information that everybody had that made.
And you know what? I'll even do you one better. I will say, I have called for Phil and team to just leave Japan alone. It's been years and years and years and years, and you throw money in and you'll get a little bit of money out. It's not turning into a flywheel. It's you give it to me, I take it. You give it to me, I will take it again. That's how it's always been for a long time. I've been like, enough already. You have all the Western markets sewed up. You have all these potential developers. Be happy with what you have. The equivalent of, she doesn't really like you that much, right? And still, Phil has been full bore. Hey, Japan's important. Hey, we need to get, and then you get a foothold, and now this happens. It tells me there's more afoot than that. Because Phil doesn't wake up one morning and go, okay, I think I'm done now. I don't think that's what happened here. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
So the calls to get him out of there, I'm just like, that's a flippant response. And there may be more nuance behind that than just Phil has to go, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but the point I wanted to make about Redfall, and I'll make a succinct one, and then maybe Jesse will want to expand on it, but the media that lynched that game, right? They absolutely ripped it apart. Now, I've played Redfall. I played it at launch. I was like, this is fine. Like, it's not my absolute preferred genre, but I think any game that can be played in co-op is a better game, personally. Fun with friends wins out. And I happen to know that Jesse put in something insane, hours-wise, and he played through it twice or three times, keep me honest here, Jesse, with his partner, with his brother, right? And had fun in the way that the game designers intended. And when I read a lot of the reviews, they read as, I'm really pissed off that this isn't the immersive sim that I wanted from Arkane, right? And they crucified the development team, to the point where Phil had to come out and say sorry. Imagine that. Imagine you've worked your butt off for 5 years, and then your boss goes on the internet and says, I'm sorry about that, everyone. That sucked. You know, like, it wasn't as awful and terrible as everybody made it out to be. I'm not saying it was the best game in the world, but do those same people that absolutely jumped on the hate bandwagon to rip the development team apart, the game apart, do they feel anything now that they're crying about the same team losing all their jobs?
No, because they don't pay attention, because we're already getting... So Tom Warren put out the piece, they might not... They had discussions. When? What discussions? What type of discussions? Who knows? They had discussions about should Call of Duty be on Game Pass, and that immediately turned into a ton of people saying, okay, so now that's not going to be on Game Pass? Okay, they're really dead. Ignoring the fact that it was only 2.5, 3 months ago that Phil said directly to Stephen Totillo, our plan is for every game in the slate to be there. And people are like, well, why won't they answer? Why didn't Sarah answer yesterday and say, yeah, Call of Duty will be there this year? Because Call of Duty this year hasn't been announced yet. They don't talk about games that aren't actually announced.
It was redacted directly in the announcement already.
Until the game exists, they won't talk about it, because they can't say, yeah, Call of Duty will be in there this year. because they haven't talked about Call of Duty. Which one? They could say, oh, maybe we're going to put older ones in there if they wanted to say that. But for like the actual new thing, it's not. I've already got rid of one guy in chat. It's not defending. It's trying to explain how things actually work while saying we all hate this. None of us like it. None of us want it to happen. Like, I don't care. Yeah. It's their job on the stat side of things and the business side of things. It's not mine. I just liked Arkane Austin. I really enjoyed Tango Gameworks' games. I don't care that they didn't make enough money or they were too far away for it to be easy to be in contact with them. Like, they said one of the main reasons that this was consolidation, and they were either going to consolidate projects or they were going to consolidate studios, and in the end, consolidating the 4 studios essentially won out. Tango Gameworks really far away. Consolidation seems to just be gone. Arkane Austin, not too far away. Consolidation seems to be probably a lot gone, but again, we don't know how many gone, how many moved on. They said directly Roundhouse, who has like 9 lives after running away from Rune 2 as a human head, they now get into ZeniMax Online Studios and work on probably Elder Scrolls or their new game. And then Alpha Dog, no idea. And I think that's the main thing for me, is most of the answers are we just don't actually know. We never have enough info to give direct, definitive answers. And so much of what you see people say in the industry, say on podcasts, say on forums, say on websites, is essentially them talking themselves into why the thing they think is right is probably right. Like, they're going to make an assumption, then they're going to look for things that back their assumption, and then that assumption is going to become reality in their head because there is not going to be any pushback. Like, oh, why isn't Phil get out there and said anything? Because he just fired hundreds of people. You don't get out there and do happy PR to try and say, oh, I'm really sad.
Why didn't Sarah like cancel the interview? This is like Y Combinator. You don't cancel like where CEOs come to speak
to
on.
hide.
No.
Yeah,
like,
you don't hide
don't
away.
do that. You know?
I mean, and you could tell she was uncomfortable being asked that question.
The
I don't
biggest
think
problem,
I don't think it's wrong to say that.
PR didn't give her a good answer. They had to have known it was going to come, because there's literally Dina Bass, who's part of the report that she's always a part of Jason Schreier's reports, way down at the bottom. Just big Jason Schreier at the top, little tiny Dina Bass contributed at the bottom. Like, she's there, the one asking you the questions. PR should have prepped her better, but I don't know. Who knows why? Maybe they did, and she stumbled in her head. You don't know. And that's always the thing. It's not defending. It's just not assuming I know everything, and people just love doing that.
People want the catharsism of the rage, the anger.
Yes.
And don't get us wrong. I think I could speak quite happily for all 3 of us here. That this sucks.
Yes,
right. It
we
sucks
all
for the
hate
development teams.
Definitively,
it sucks
yes.
for the games that we would have got. Like, I had to tell my son today. My son had been at his mum's and he was playing. Dad, I'm at Corsica again on Hi-Fi Rush, and I'm like, by the way, dude, you know you were pestering me to speak to John Johannes about a sequel.
They wanted to work on one, but guess what?
I know, right? And this is what I wrote about this week, and this is where I am, and I'm with Jesse in terms of I don't know everything, so I'm not going to just make assumptions. But I also spoke a lot about why I think it feels very different this time. I mean, we had Eurogamer with what's the point of Xbox? They've not made anything good. They keep, since the Xbox One, they've just been a continual line of fuck-ups. Right, that's effectively what the article was—a scarlet line. I think Chris Donlan, who wrote it, and I'm like, I think I saw another tweet today from another journo saying, I don't think they've done anything good in the last decade, and I'm like,
it's this weird place where people take the company not seeing growth versus the company's not sustainable and is not doing well. And it's like so doing well in Microsoft means you pay for yourself. Like, every division has to pay for itself and try and make money. You have to pay for yourself. That's not new. So when they're looking at a stagnating industry that can easily pay for itself, I think we all agree they could afford to pay every single person they fired the last couple of years for 1,000 years, and they would be fine. They wouldn't lose a penny overall because they make so much ungodly amounts of money, which is why it sucks that the system determines it doesn't matter if we're filthy stinking rich. we need to get more filthy, stinking rich in a healthy, sustainable way. But that healthy, sustainable way tends to default to firing human beings, not anything else, not a focus on long term. The actual system here doesn't allow you to really play long term most of the time when you're publicly traded. Like people look, like Capcom and Nintendo and all these haven't really done much, but Nintendo fired a bunch of people, but they were in America because that's where they could do it. They didn't close any studios. Like none of the Japanese places have really been closing studios for publishing lately. It's mostly been the West because that is where the system is. And also Embracer just messed everything up. Like they're not in a, we're not growing. They're in a, we can't actually afford any of this situation because they were built on loans and they can't get those anymore. And the Saudis didn't save them. But yeah, like so much of it, like people are like, the Paul Tassi, the sword of Damocles is hanging over every Xbox studio. It's like only if every Xbox publishing arm is still looking to consolidate in some way. Now, we know from Jason Schreier, he said they're looking to cut costs, which is a constant when you're not growing. But the cutting cost was offering people severance, especially in QA and like middle management and stuff. It wasn't shutting more studios down, which I then saw places like Linus Tech Tips say they're also looking to shut down more studios. It's like, no, they're not. That's not the report from Schreier. But it's always a game of telephone. Everything gets lost.
And unfortunately, the first thing that's written on the internet is the thing that becomes true. But, Kate, you mentioned you wanted to talk about Arkane because a lot of people are focusing on the critical darling that was Hi-Fi Rush, right? And I think, as I wrote in my opinion piece, that the crux of why that has become the focus is that, and I'm going to talk subjectively, I think that's the word I'm looking for. I'm going to talk in a general term for everyone, right? It might not apply to you, but I think for the many Xbox fans out there, Hi-Fi Rush was the first game that wasn't just Xbox fans like it. It was the whole industry predominantly said, this is a really great game. Well done. Except for Metro, who was like, well, they can't give them too many plaudits. They haven't released much else, right? Yes. And the symbolism of Microsoft turning around and saying, regardless of that, I saw the tweet from one of the Hi-Fi Rush devs with the fucking shelf of awards and BAFTAs and not enough. Not enough, question mark. And the symbolism of shutting that studio down that had just shipped that game. Right, and we'll talk about the business reasons that was reportedly shared in the town hall in a bit. But the symbolism of shutting that game down was effectively Microsoft had been talking for years, and you combine it with that Matt Booty quote about looking for smaller prestige games, and it's like, now you could argue that Hi-Fi Rush isn't a smaller prestige game. It started that way, but it ballooned and it became a 5-year dev experience with a fairly significant team.
And it was not the aim
12-man team of Grounded.
That's not the aim of the studio either. Like the aim of the studio was actually a much bigger game in Ghostwire Tokyo, which didn't do well. And that quote kills me because that quote is from one of the most leading. It's also leading. It could be correct, but it's a quote with no context about why it was said, anything around it, and then it's just like 300 words trying to damn the quote instead of trying to tell you and educate and report what this quote was about. Was he asked the question? Was he bringing it up on his own like a moron, not realizing? Like, we don't know. It could have been an unbelievably stupid quote. It could have made perfect sense in context. We don't know because that wasn't reported, and that's where. But it has completely set the tone, and where people are losing their shit. Also, like, I think there's too much focus on Hi-Fi Rush simply because it was the latest one. When it was a smaller, mid-tier at best project. It started really small. They really liked it, so it ramped up a little bit. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't Ghostwire Tokyo, which was a much bigger project overall.
Bigger budget.
And even then, it's like there were reasons they gave that weren't just that. Like they said, it wasn't game performance as much. It was both of these studios. We're looking to consolidate. Both of these studios are now in between games. It's as much bad timing as anything because, shockingly, they're both only in the pitch stage, which is kind of crazy when you're that far off of shipping a game. Like when you're still only pitching. Normally, you're pitching close to like maybe about a year, probably before then, but like I think the average someone told me that actually would know, because I don't, is like roughly a year out is when you want to start a pre-production on your next thing, because then you finish it, you get Starfield out,
hit the ground running.
You keep a small team, you keep a team on Starfield, but then people start going over and working on Elder Scrolls 6. Like that's the normal progression path. You've always got something. Hellblade 2 is going to be done. Maybe they're going to go and work more on Project Mara or something else they have. Like that's the normal cadence. And being a year and a half or a year and 4 months out from release and still not being working on something means you're like 5, maybe more years away from a game, and you have to staff up for it. Like there was a lot of reasons given. They're stupid. I don't agree. I don't give a shit. I don't care if, oh no, you're going to have to pay people with your many billions of dollars. I don't care. So, but like seeing people saying it's baffling or they don't understand why Xbox would do this, I'm like, it's perfectly understandable. It's not unique to the industry. It's not unique to the last couple friggin' weeks. We just saw Take-Two roll 7 get closed by them. Like roll 7 maker of beloved games like Rollerdrome and Ollie Ollie World. Like,
so Jesse, about that it not being unique part, that's the part I think is super interesting. Everyone keeps giving Microsoft smoke, if you will, for their lack of messaging, for their lack of marketing and messaging. Oh, why is there such a lack of marketing and messaging? When it comes to this specific point here, I think Phil has been a little too good at his job. I honestly think that he, specifically about what you're describing right now, about the, hey, do games need to make money? Right? Why do you have these creative studios out there? All these little bespoke, little interesting games. He has been very good at being the gamer surrogate. You know, hey,
yeah, I'd agree with that. Saying things like, "We empower you to be creative." You know, we'll get out of the way.
We'll get out of the way. The money will take care of it. You know, we'll take care of that. You've heard. Developer after developer, Tim Schafer famously talking about that was specifically the reason why he was good with coming to Microsoft, right? Now, obviously, you know that at the end of the day, the dollars need to make sense. Otherwise, we have a problem, right? And because of that, I think that is the reason why most people are so shocked at the fact that, hey, you know, it's almost like they're a business. They're a multi-trillion-dollar company.
Well,
like what?
And on that,
you know what I mean?
Right? I think it's important for everybody and chat to recognize, like, as great as you might have felt, and I want to rewind the clock, and I appreciate that this is long-winded, right? But Bethesda before acquisition, look at what they were doing, right? Redfall was in production, and it was in production as a live service game. Why? Because Bethesda was struggling as a publisher. They were not making money. These cult classics that people love, Prey, Dishonored 1 and 2, they were not making enough cash for Bethesda, right? Yep. So Redfall, live service. Then the last Wolfenstein game, live service game. We've got to start making money, people, right? Or we're going to go under. Why were they bought? Because that was the right time and the right place, and Microsoft stepped in. Now, Microsoft probably paid a lot, 7.5 billion back before Activision. Let's put a pin in that for a minute. $7.5 billion is a lot. You are buying the Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom. These are some of the most storied IPs in gaming. There's a reason the price tag is there, right? And I understand, and I was right there. I was like, okay, if I play that timeline out of Bethesda, right, being solo, the likelihood is the studio closures will be on the horizon anyway. Now, did it buy them a couple of years to figure that out? Yes. And again, this is pure conjecture. I don't know. I am just painting a picture here of a already struggling before they were purchased publisher. They get purchased. Let's not integrate straight away because, you know, we've all got our own things. You're in the middle of Starfield. You're doing this, that, and the other. Let's get to the other side. And, you know, we heard from when Redfall, oh, we should have leaned in more there. We should have helped more. And I think that this is time catching up a little bit. That's my kind of, when I look at what happened. Yes, there are business reasons for it, but, you know, at the end of the day, Phil is not, he is the boss and he deserves the flack, I suppose.
Shit
and the
rolls
questions.
uphill.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But he also has a boss, right?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and you know, as much as I believe Phil, you know, I've met Phil. He is a nice guy, and I believe him when he is about the creative and he is about the gamer. But he also has a hierarchy that he has to fit into, right? And that's not a defense. It's just I've had to do things in my job. I've had to let people go when I was a manager. Did I want to do it? No, but that's my job, and I had to, you know. So, but I think, you know, they did that. Now Activision's come in. The very state, the very existence of Xbox is completely different now. All right, bear this in mind. GarageBand Xbox division, its peak success was the 360. They listened to the data people that said, do all these things with your next console, it'll be great. And then we know what happened, right? And Microsoft, the $1 trillion company, $3 trillion company, they spent the most money ever on any acquisition in the entire history of that company on a gaming subsidiary, Activision Blizzard King. This has got all of the money men now. This is the CEO, the CFO, everybody.
If I have any real
watching.
smoke to give Microsoft, to give Phil, everybody's talking about Fire Phil. I don't think any of that is his fault. If I have any smoke to give Phil, it's the lack of foresight in that department right there.
Yeah.
You don't borrow Big Papa's money and expect it to be status quo when you're done, right?
I can't imagine he did.
You should have kind of.
I think they knew the moment. So he knows the way for them to grow, especially with everything starting to trend down as the bubble of the COVID started to burst. The only way to really grow was to acquire things, especially with their focus wanting to be on mobile. The only way you can grow in mobile right now is to just buy someone that's already there. It's this impenetrable ceiling you can't get through. People are going nuts. We'll get into it about the mobile store, but it's like, it's just, there's so much money there. It's not taking, and it's like the whole, like, oh, they put out a controller thing again. The controller people, don't they know better? Why don't they do other things instead of make controllers? Because the controller team makes controllers.
Sells.
And now they have
the controller team had some very bad timing with the feel the burn. Dude,
but it's like people, it's a very regimented, and people have their jobs, and whoever's working on this mobile shit are not the people making video games. They have a bajillion of them coming out this year. They have more coming next year. They'll have a bajillion every year because they have too many studios not to. Like, games have come out, and it's always a thing in gaming coverage where it just gets ignored. Like, Xbox has a 2022 where they have 3 good games, but they're all small. None of them are big. And so they're not the things that people look at and really focus on, even though Pentiment has been wildly successful. It's still just this little $20 indie side project. This week. Yeah, it keeps winning more and more awards. It had shockingly way more players than Hi-Fi Rush ever did on Steam. Like, multiple times over. Like, it has been that.
People love just like overlooking that game, but somehow it's quietly a juggernaut. You know?
And it's also like, it's not even that Hi-Fi Rush had to have done terrible, and that's why it happened. They said there were other reasons, not just tied to performance, but those reasons are very, for us, what do we care? What do we care that you feel stretched out like peanut butter over too much, like too little peanut butter over too much bread? I don't care. I understand.
Give me my games.
Like, that's not for me to worry about. Like, so, but also everyone's looking at like, oh, how can Matt Booty say that line about the smaller games thing? And it's like, well, he's in a town hall. And it feels like that line was very specifically pulled out because it reads horribly if you look at it in a very specific way. And the article makes sure you look at it in that very specific way. You look at it in a way of, oh, they need more Hi-Fi Rushes, but they got rid of it. And it's like, it could mean that. He could be that dumb to have said that. But people will just assume it is because they're very mad. And people are really pissed off. And they are going to focus and accept the negative, even if they fully understand why. Why did this happen?
So,
poor management at some point, most likely.
A buddy of mine was on my show today, and I've been lucky. I've known him all my life, and he's worked at a lot of these studios. He actually used to be a producer at King during Candy Crush days. He's also used to work on a small game called Fortnite, you know, before
Never
heard of
a
it.
battle royale.
Never paid a penny on it.
So he's been in the room where a lot of those decisions are happening. And he said he put a good analogy out today that I thought was really, really apt on this. People seem to have 4% of the information and 93% of the emotion. And they think that 93% of the emotion is all the actual information. And they kind of stitch it together, you know, and they're using that small bit to just expound. And if you don't follow that line of thinking,
social media is a rage off.
Yeah, you're just a defending fanboy.
Yeah.
You can't have a and this is the thing, like if you're here, look, there's 399 people watching right now. Do us a favor, lads and ladies, hit that like button. It really does help the algorithm out, and consider subscribing. We do plenty of really awesome video reviews and loads of other content. And if you really love it, patreon.com/XboxEra. I've seen 2 new people join while we've been watching.
3.
Much love to you both. 3.
Yep.
Wow.
And we will get to your
I am
super
aware
chats.
that we've got some super chats.
Yeah, we'll get to
I will
them.
get to them when the relevant topics come up. So I am monitoring them. Please don't fret.
We have saved them.
So yeah, you're right. Right, so if you do not, and this is the thing, and I sat down and I wrote that opinion piece, and I was like, I understand and I get why some people that are watching us right now, and goddamn, my camera keeps going out of focus, it's really annoying me. I understand why people are mad. I'm mad, I'm cross, but I can also separate the desire to just play more Hi-Fi Rush or the desire to get whatever Arkane are going to make next, Arkane Austin specifically, or to see what Alpha Dog Games could have done with a mobile Halo title, for Christ's sake. I don't know, right?
Now you get me.
I can also separate that out and take a step back, but that's not everyone does that, and I get it, but I wanted to empathize and put the why I think people are feeling this way, and I think it just culminated in what feels like a destruction of the product we have been sold. You know, you're talking about Phil almost doing too good of a job from a creative, conversational. The whole nature of Xbox, and I'm gonna go big picture here for a second, and I really am annoyed at this camera. Think about how much Microsoft executives communicate to. They've been on this show, right? We've had Phil Spencer on this show, right? Yeah. He goes on Kind of Funny. He shouts on Twitter. He replies to random messages, right? The whole Xbox team, Aaron Greenberg and Sarah Bond,
Jason
they're
Ronald
out
on
there. Yeah, we've had Jason Ronald on. We've had, oh my God, I'm terrible, Adam Icegreen from Age of Empires team back in the day. You know, this is a group of people that truly do love the games, right? And just want to communicate and talk. But the problem that they've now dug for themselves is that people on Twitter, certain Twitter accounts that perhaps consider themselves super familiar with these people, like, I know them, I'm his friend, now flip out because they feel personally betrayed because of that parasocial relationship. If I'm losing you, I apologize, but I genuinely think this is a real thing, because if you compare the way that Microsoft and Xbox leadership and general high up figures of note talk to the community, compare it to Nintendo and Sony, we don't have a conversation with those. If something's going on, if something's burning at Sony, they don't jump on a podcast and chit chat about it and apologize for a game that launched bad. They just don't do it. And someone asked me the other day, what happens if Xbox just, are out of the industry? I said, I guarantee you a lot of video game websites are going to go under. Because without Microsoft, without that continued conversation, so there's a double-edged sword here, but it's developed this way of all of us feeling almost to a degree, especially Xbox fans, personally connected to the brand. And when Hi-Fi Rush was cancelled, I feel that all of the talk about the creatives and the smaller games and, Tim Schafer talking about Double Fine and how, it doesn't matter if we make a niche game because it adds to the value of Game Pass, and Game Pass supports us. So these big behemoths can go do what they do and we can do what we do. Yep. And as soon as they cancelled Hi-Fi Rush, and I don't care about the business reasons, let's put a pin in those, that felt like, was that a lie?
Yes.
Did you lie to everybody? Yeah. And because of the parasocial relationships that have been formed over the last 15 years, people feel personally betrayed, and I think that's where all the emotions coming from. I hope I've communicated that right.
This is why I say Phil. This is why I say Phil was he's a victim of his own success.
Yes,
right? They keep complaining about how marketing is not done well. Phil marketed that one unusually well, so much so that it's become a detrimental to their forward momentum. You know,
take note now, and have a look on Aaron Greenberg's Twitter account.
Yes,
especially since all the bubbling has started December last year about
destroyed Xbox.
Now, time will tell on that.
Your destruction.
Yes.
You've never backed off, which people get very mad about. You've never changed your opinion.
And I haven't backed. I still don't. I stand by what I reported.
And we'll get into why after Sea of Thieves launch numbers, it's probably likely even more will happen.
Of course it's going to happen. But yeah, so nutshell, I don't think there's too much more to say right now outside of it does feel, and I understand it feels different for a lot of people this time. I think I've tried to succinctly explain why. If you hear that and you recognize that, the only thing I would say to you, if you're super angry about this, keep that anger, but just bear that in mind. The communication and that feeling of camaraderie and community has almost done them no favors when they do this, because we rewind the clock a couple of months. Sony just like, yeah, you're closed. We were there for 5 days. It was a noise on Twitter for 4 days, and then it just fucking vanished, because there isn't anyone at Sony to phone up and we jump on a podcast and talk about this and apologize, because Sony are just going to go,
no,
fuck
I'm
off.
taking care of my dogs.
Sony don't give a shit about what you report. And Xbox, from every interaction I've had from Jason Ronald, from Phil Spencer, from developers across different teams, it's a very passionate group of people that actually do care about the community they
Phil
built.
got nuked in Fallout and immediately went and did the quest to nuke back. That's a gamer.
Absolute legend. But I am, and I think before we talk about the Sarah Bond interview, because there's some super chats for that, I want to just go back through and check what ones we've got from
pretty much everything I've put
here
in private chat is new.
Yeah, I've got a link here. So let's just quick shout out to executive producer Mohammed Sherez. Hi Kay, Jesse, John. Looks like the famous Xbox ambassador is missing tonight. I think he's talking about his one and only wannabe boyfriend, Nicholas.
Soon to be a full-time
have a great short
Switch user.
show, non-Nintendo now, guys.
I have already heard from
Mohammed.
Nick that if the rumored Switch specs are real, he's a full-time Switch man. Switch 2, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you watch them.
Those specs sound way too good. It's like PS4 Pro Series S levels. Like, there's no fucking way. That'd be like $900. It would be enormous. Like, no, it's not going to be that. It'll probably be all right. If it's Ampere based, I'm sure it'll be fine. But it's not going to actually run like one of those.
Now, my question is that before or after DLSS is kicked in?
Yeah. Well, after, because it's still going to have they want battery life, so they're not going to push power. You could have 25 minutes of a portable Series S right now. Like, the whole problem is the pushing the power to do that. By the way,
they don't also just want battery life. They also want money.
Yeah,
and they don't want to be a loss leader. No. They themselves are never loss leaders. So
when you've got something like
show
this,
without Nick, and you still throw a Nintendo Switch.
This is $750 for a reason, and it doesn't do what Series S does.
I call it the abacus for a reason. Okay, it to me will be known as the abacus because they need to set their developers free on actual hardware. You want your rant?
It would be weird though because they don't have a 4K pipeline. Like, they don't have that level, but their stuff probably we already know it upscales really well. Like, their art style works well. So if they didn't even bother doing it, and I think it'd be good.
Yeah.
Cody Bishop,
what they do.
Yeah. Please. Cody Bishop says Xbox will just license smaller games for Game Pass now. We'll get into that when we talk about the Sarah Bond discussion, but there might be something correct there. We'll get into that theory. Hyphen G says, so despite that, Tango Works is dead. Hi-Fi Rush is still getting a Switch port because I think it was rated on ESRB.
It was rated.
Without Tango, your gent's take on that, despite the studio being dead.
It is dead.
The game's made. it is what it is. They can just
The
release it.
statement in the email is essentially those games will be able to be played where they are played. There will be no further work at all on any of them. That's it.
So you reckon the port's dead?
Yeah, they're not going to bother. No,
fair enough.
People wouldn't want to
clearly
buy
no
it.
one bought it on PlayStation.
Yeah, and plus, like, it'll be even worse. Even if it is a better Switch game, like, it'll be worse because everyone's like, "Well, that studio's gone. I'm never going to get another one of these." Type of deal.
Yeah.
You know, people are so.
Yep, that's true. That's a good point. Now, before we talk about Sarah's interview, I do want to talk a little bit about Game Pass and the June showcase. I want to talk a little bit about the June showcase. So we are now 4 weeks out, more or less. 5 weeks out from
John's
Microsoft's
big adventure.
Big summer showcase. I am going to LA. Are you going to be?
God damn it! Everyone's gonna meet Kay before I ever do, even though we're 25 minutes from each
It's
other.
hilarious. So you're like,
I could
next
walk
door.
and see you there in like 5 minutes. I don't know, man. We should do something.
You really should. I mean, it's a shock.
Yes.
I'm going to be bringing something, Kay, as well. I'm going to be bringing something that is a super secret project. And it's funny. I dropped a hint in the XboxEra Discord, and just no one fucking spotted it. No one batted an eyelid. I'll tell you about it after the show because I think it's genuinely cool. But
Okay, very cool.
keeping my cards close to my chest for now. But
Are those Palazzo cards, sir? Those are
just a load of jokers. I saw a T-shirt of the Joker. I really want to get that. I'm probably going to get that before I
that's
leave.
awesome.
Now, June showcase is coming up. Now, I am not expecting any real news from Microsoft, any big public relation facing statements. I think they are going to buckle down. They're going to concentrate on Hellblade 2, which is dropping a week after next. It's not far away. All right, you can
In
look
which
forward
all
to
the
I'll be doing
people
the
who
review for this
have
one.
ad block on and pay for YouTube Premium are like, I'm not seeing any ads. And it's like, okay, yeah, but all the ads are on YouTube and TikTok and Twitch and before movies in Europe. And like, there's a lot out there. I know it's anecdotal. If it feels like you're not seeing something, it doesn't mean it's definitely not happening.
Yeah. Bear that in mind. But do you think that, and I'll go to Kay first because he's the guest. So guests first. Is the June showcase? We had Sarah Bond in the business update after some website caused the internet to burn down. We had Sarah Bond and the rest of the executive team come out, and Sarah specifically said, "We've got some exciting hardware to talk about. We've got a showcase, yada yada." Is this the right time for Microsoft to make it very clear the whys, the hows, the what's next for this community? Or do you think that they'll just focus on really great games? Here's everything you're going to be playing in 2025. Here's some surprises for the other months in 2024. Enjoy, and here's maybe a hint. Like, what do you think the plan is? Is this the chance for them to try and show the why? Or are they going to just talk about games and that's it?
So what I think should happen is they should basically peel back the onion. They should basically, show and prove. This is what it is. If this is the villain arc, let's see it. Let's see the final form. Right. This is our store. This is what we're looking at. This is the potential future. This is what we're heading towards. You don't like it? Shut your mouth, Graybeard. The Jetsons.
Team Graybeard right now.
Yes, that's right.
I've been thinking
this is
whole
what they
beard
should
goes.
do.
Just the handlebar.
Oh boy!
I think you could. I think you could
He's
pull it
going
off.
for that Florida look, boy. Woo!
You're not
This
from
is
around
brown.
here, are you, boy?
Everything else is gray. Just leave the brown.
Yes, absolutely. I stand with you, sir. It's all good. Let's go. But I think that's what they should do. Is that what they will do? Probably not. It's probably going to be the same kind of, we're so excited to be here. And then they show you just the tip and move on and leave the speculation to continue. Right? Which, look, I'm paying my own dime to go to the show this time around. I was talking to Paris Lilly. He's like, how do you feel? Those who are paying their own dime to go there. Does this make you lose your excitement or whatever? I'm still excited to be there. I'm still excited to see what they have to offer. but I'm a little bit of a different snowflake. I've never felt like anybody owed me anything, right? You give me a good value product, I will buy it. If somebody else offers a better product, I will buy that, right?
Yep.
I have an Xbox shirt on. It's not tattooed on my back.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It is what it is. Like I'm very much a transactional person in that way. I love my games wherever I can find them. So I'm excited to see what they have to offer, right? That's just point blank, you know? And even with the mishigas of it all, I'm still excited to see what's there, right? But I do think, as you've described expertly, how much they have cultivated and have cared for their community to build it up the way it is now, it would be great and refreshing to finally be like, look here, folks, we're going third party, right? Here's what it is. We're going third party. It is what it is. You know, I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I'm saying, like, just be real with it, right? Rip off the Band-Aid. Don't say just 4, because you know that's the noose around your neck next week. You know,
yes,
be real.
I think that phrase is going to come back and bite them in the ass. No matter how much they say it's just these 4. Yes, that's technically true. You're talking about just these 4
very
for
moment.
now.
Yeah, like,
you like, throw in experiment, and maybe they iterate on an experiment unbelievably quickly.
See, it's not just about the salts. It's not just about the medicine. It's also about, this is why you still want to be here, right? This is our potential of hardware. This is the unified framework we want to head to. Oh, and by the way, if you're just a console gamer and you just want your games, here's game after game after game after game after game. This is why you want to continue to be here. Why are you looking over there? You're enjoying yourself here. Shut your mouth. Enjoy yourself, right? That is what I want to see. Is that what I will see? They tend to have corporatitis, so it's just a little difficult for that stuff to just kind of, you know, these are the moments where I miss Lulu Chang Mesreve, right? Because you'd expect that's what would come out of her mouth. You never know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yes, I want that real talk, even though obviously it's calibrated real talk, but we need some of that real talk, and I'm not sure we're going to get.
We hear you. We hear you. Don't say that. Take that off the script. Please, God.
The game showcase is just it's a playlist. It's not going to be.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be a playlist with a little bit of talking about what we're doing this for the rest of this year. Here are the dates on shit. What we're doing next. We've got more coming. If they do another extended showcase like they always do, that could be a place where there's more talking. If they have anything hardware related to talk about yet. They're probably going to have just the digital Series X. That'll be it. And people lose their shit.
Possibly, yeah.
Even if there's 40 good games.
She used the word exciting. Exciting hardware. A digital Series X is not exciting.
They did take it away from Tom. It was originally in Tom's press release, and they took it out about the exciting hardware announcements. That's not there anymore.
Now I see a super chat that's specifically referencing what I think they should or shouldn't do. Real quick, Assassin Entertainment, I will address that real quick.
Go for
it. Honestly, whether it be detrimental or beneficial, I have had the opportunity and honor to speak with people whose pockets are way bigger than mine and will always be, and I'm okay with that. And the one lesson I have learned from them is the reason why they are the way they are is, they don't talk that way. Oh, well, we're like, they're the biggest, richest company in the world. So that has nothing to do with Xbox earn your keep, right?
Yeah, that's not the same thing.
If they can go, like, because as you guys have already said, they could literally keep all of these folks fed forever and be fine. But that don't make dollars, so it don't make sense.
The Azure division,
no one does that for free.
Yeah, like Azure division having huge growth doesn't help the service division not. Like, it's just they're all their own. It's a ton. Every developer, everything is its own little company that has its own budgets, that has its own goals. And if they're not reaching their goals and if they're not paying for themselves, that's when they're in trouble. This is why I keep saying Phil has been a little too successful in his, I am your gamer advocate role. Because he's a businessman. He's an executive. Before, when he spoke, it kind of made waves. Now when he speaks, it moves financial mountains. Stock prices go blip, blip every time he opens his mouth. So he cannot afford to talk to y'all anymore. This is why Strauss Zelnick only speaks to Bloomberg.
Yeah.
That's why
This is
Doug
why all of
Bowser
them don't speak to
rarely
you.
loses his shit on people on LinkedIn about
Yes.
airplanes. I don't know if you saw
Yes,
that. It was very funny. He
To
completely
be
destroyed
fully
a guy.
clarified, to clarify, like Assassin Entertainment's full super chat was,
Yes.
"Hey Kay, what they should do is reverse this decision and take a loss somewhere else. Studios should not be dying under the world's second richest company." Yeah. And I want to quickly read it out because we've left it. It was one of the first super chats, and I apologize, Brett. I was going to try and shoehorn it in, and we're kind of talking about the games and the showcase now. Brett Bingham earlier on in the show said,
Great bet,
talking
Brett.
about Sarah on the camera when she started talking about games, this still makes me hopeful, despite the bad news of closures, is that when Sarah spoke about the games coming, you could hear the joy in her voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always been the thing. Like
yeah.
they all really like the game side of it. Like Phil
They
has
do.
talked about it before.
I believe in
the
that.
favorite part of his job is going and just playing shit. Like you don't get to do it that often because so often it is about how are we going to make the money so that they can keep making these fun games, and you got to focus on that.
Did I not see some media publication went and analysed how much time Phil spent playing games after he
he's
personally
talked-
fired
Yeah.
everybody, and he spent 923 hours this year playing
Not
video
on the
games.
clock.
What
Yeah,
a
like,
doofus.
he's talked before when he's off of the clock, no more work. He's not going to do it. Like, and that's what he wants. I'm sure it doesn't always happen everywhere, but is like that is like Microsoft is in general a high ranking company for working at because they are strict about you work your hours. If you're working, you get paid. All this shit, because holy shit, we have messed up so bad in the past with regulators. We're not going to do anything super evil, no matter how bad people want us to. We're very scared of regulators. So Phil's like, when I'm home, I play games. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I relax. I do shit. I'm not I just play a bunch of games. Yeah.
So I think that's what we all do, right? Brett Bingham again with another super chat says people need to stop soundbiting what Phil said.
That's his job.
Yeah. Look, that's his job. He'll come out and he's made a reputation for being an amiable, approachable, very real person to talk to.
Evil
But
executive.
as Kay has quite rightly pointed out, he has a boss. He has a job to be ensuring that, what was it he said? I don't have the luxury of not making sure Xbox is a profitable business. Mm-hmm. Right, and it is today.
It was constant during the FTC trial. It's like we are not allowed to run. We are not allowed to do loss leading. We need to make a profit. That's why we need to have Call of Duty stay everywhere, because it would take 3 million. Oh, I didn't mean to say that, FTC guy, lawyer. It would take them 3 million new Game Pass subs every year to cover the amount they would lose from taking Call of Duty off of PlayStation. We weren't supposed to know that, but he said it, of course. So that's huge. That's 3 million new people for one game is crazy. Probably not going to happen every year. We'll see later this year. They have repeatedly stated that it will. The game, they can't outright directly say this game will be in because it's not announced, but their aim in the very corporate businessman speak is their aim is to have every game in their portfolio launch day one into Game Pass. It's the only way they can talk about games that aren't announced yet, and so we'll find out. Starfield got a lot of people in, more than they expected. That's what they said to shareholders, where you're not allowed to lie. So it's like Starfield was the biggest launch ever for Bethesda. It brought in more people to Game Pass than we were expecting, had more players than we were expecting, was the third highest grossing game of last year. And yet still, people try to say that Starfield was a failure and didn't make enough. And because people don't actually care, they're just more looking to, what can I say and how can I feel to match what I think about something? Because I didn't like this game, so how can I assume it was a failure in some way? And that's just what dominates discussion all the time, drives me insane.
Fair. One more super chat from Spartan661 says, I think talking about handhelds here, we need replaceable battery packs with separate charging docks that we can buy for all handheld gaming systems. Switch out batteries on the go.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
With heat, I think that's always one of the problems. How do you do it? How do you keep it thin? How do you keep it from your hands?
Yep.
Don't touch the hot part. That's what's so tough. Like when you had a laptop and you had that big old brick on the bottom, you touch that thing after being on battery for an hour or two and you melt part of your skin off, like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
If I put my laptop like on a duvet, if like I'm writing in bed, which I'm often stupidly doing when I can't sleep, I'll just carry on doing this, and then within 5 minutes, like because the contact with the what's it called? The duvet itself. It's like it blocks the fans more,
Blocks the
and then
fans.
suddenly you hear it all kick off, and you're like, you end up like weirdly balancing.
Folks forget that although most of us are in various ages, this is also has to be geared towards children, right? So it's one thing if you're selling a piece of tech that adults will handle with care. This needs to be able to handle a drop or two, right? So adding all that into the sauce makes it difficult for batteries to be removable.
I mean, I think yes when it comes to the Switch, but I think predominantly for devices like the Steam Deck and anything that I think Xbox would make, I think that they would go more for the higher end of the handheld market, because I think the predominant age of gamers, like younger gamers now, are, Phil and team, some of the reasons xCloud and stuff like that exists, and probably the reason they're pushing this more Xbox's every screen is because kids play on their phones and they don't really give a shit about consoles anymore.
Were we going to talk more about Sarah? Because she did talk about xCloud.
Yeah, we are going to move on to that. Move on to that now. So,
is their biggest growth?
Yes, yeah. And look, so rewind a little bit. Sarah Bond appeared on a Bloomberg CEO's CFO, whatever it was, talk.
Bloomberg Tech.
That's the one, thank you. And she spoke about a bunch of stuff. Obviously, the media generally has latched on to the somewhat difficult question asked by Dina, basically, like, how do you justify closing this studio and that studio? And you could see that, I think you could see that Sarah was uncomfortable talking about that. I'm not going to, I would be uncomfortable talking about that too. It's never nice. No one who has to fire people likes firing people. I don't think it was necessarily Sarah's specific job to do that, but being president of the Xbox team, now that Phil, bear in mind, people, has been CEO of Microsoft Gaming for a while now, right? Bear that name in mind, Microsoft Gaming, all right? We'll talk about that some more when we talk about the future.
It was in front of us all along.
It's been there for a long time. But she did this, and outside of that, she talked a lot about the future. As Jesse said, talked a lot about how cloud, there's more demand than they have capacity for. It's the highest growth segment because people can log in from any device and so on and so forth. Now, us old greybeards and perhaps many hardcore gamers in the chat, look, let's be honest, like, we want our native devices, right? I'll play cloud if I have to, like if it's an emergency play session, or if I'm traveling, or I'm not lucky enough and I'm not rich enough to own one of these nice fancy handhelds like everybody else lately, right? So I look upon them with envy and green. I don't go waving them in front of me on the camera, Kay. I thought we were pals. Yeah, I don't have any. I'm
actually selling this one. This one's being sold today.
That's interesting.
That's how I'm able to get other handhelds.
I put in a request with Asus about the new one, but they never ever reply to me. So,
yeah. But yeah, so cloud's the biggest growing segment. So it's interesting to see what they're going to be doing there. They talked a lot about the mobile store. So one of the big announcements that came out of that conversation was that in July, and I'm just reading Jesse's piece here on XboxEra.com, that they're announcing a Xbox mobile game store coming in July.
There was clarification. It's not going to start out as a full store. It is a store on the web where you can essentially buy their stuff, buy their microtransactions in their things at a cheaper, probably a reduced rate, because they don't have the overhead of giving 30% away. So it's and it would be a thing they can tie. Hopefully, they could potentially, who knows, tie into Game Pass Ultimate for perks, or for discounts like they do with their games, where you get your percentage based off. We'll see what they end up doing with it, but it's gonna be focused. Like, they've got Candy Crush. You want to buy shit in Candy Crush cheaper? It's gonna be tied to your friggin' account already. Log in with that account on our store on the web, save a little money. And I know people are like, oh, they're doing this and they've got to shut down. So it's like, this is a completely different arm. It's not under Matt Booty and the Bethesda team. It's not related, even though they're all the same parent company.
Yeah, I get it why they want a mobile store. It's worth mentioning that Microsoft is making some big bets here on European legislation and the downing of these walled gardens. Right? Would you agree, Kay, that this is a bet on the way the future is heading, where governments and agencies around the world are saying, well, hang on a second here. Like, let's bring down the walls. Anyone should be able to open up a store on your platform. Because if you think about what Windows is, Microsoft were forced to make it an open source platform. Anyone can produce anything there, because otherwise you'll be a monopoly. And I would argue that Apple and Android have achieved the same thing in the mobile sphere. So the logic follows that you should dictate the same rule set to them. And I think Microsoft are making that bet now, right? But it's not the reality yet.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, she even mentioned it, that they don't have to adhere to all the walled gardens and all the rules within each of them, right? So, like, this is them not waiting for all of those walls to come down. And of course, we saw what Apple did once the first regulatory rules came down. They found another way of getting done the same shady stuff they wanted to do. So it's like, if you're waiting for them to do right, you're going to be waiting for a while. So it looks like they're starting with this web thing. Now, honestly, I mean, the devil will be in the details. I don't think our audience here will be too plussed with all of this.
It won't give a shit.
Personally,
for us.
Yeah. Don't care.
Not
excited.
If it helps pay for other things, if it keeps gaming friggin' division numbers up, cool. But even then, it's just each division is the only thing that really matters. But the
only thing that I will be looking for in that store is possibly Diablo Immortal, because that's interesting, maybe, possibly, but that's about it. I honestly, like, these are moves that they're making for them, not for us. And by us, I mean us hardcore have to have native rendered games. Like, it may not move the needle for us. You'll wake me up and I'll do that. Hey, keep talking meme if I hear Halo mentioned at any point in time, because I'm just a stickler. Halo is my catnip. Watching the video on the screen here, but besides that, I doubt that we really get any kind of, And she, obviously, you saw she was super excited to announce that. It seems kind of, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, it seems kind of like she was there to further discuss that more and the AI stuff more, and then Dana Bass just kind of slipped in one of those, hey, what about this?
By the way, you just closed the studios, you jerks.
The body language of like, seriously, is that what we're gonna do right now? You know what I mean? Like, that's what it kind of caught her off guard.
You see the math start flying in front of her head, and she's trying to think of exactly how I should dodge around this.
It reminded me of the Key and Peele sketch, where the sweat starts trickling down, and you're like, I've got to answer this question. This is tough.
Yeah. And I hear a bunch of people talking about how she answered it badly and how she gave a non-answer. And I get all that. And the smoke is deserved because you are the president of Xbox. Yeah. But I mean, and this is just complete speculation on my part. I don't think she had anything to do with any of these decisions. And to roll her out, President Bond, for the first time ever, speaking, and this is the lipstick that you want to put on this pig for her? Like, it feels
harsh. It feels harsh. It's like, here, suck it up. Like, if anyone should have been out there answering that question, I would have been looking at a Tim Stewart and Amy Hood. Hell, Satcher himself, all right?
Hey,
because
where's Booty? Bring Booty to the front of the congregation. Come on.
He's head of the studios.
Absolutely. But, it was a bad look. And you know what? I love the trial by fire, because everyone had this, just like Phil Spencer, everyone had this idea that she could do no wrong. Promised land. She's, and now she could do the corporal speak too, Let's not hold that against her. And next week or next time we hear her speak, maybe she has a more together answer. I don't think people should be basically crucifying her as I've heard them doing in these here Twitter streets and whatnot. But yeah, it was a bad answer. It was absolutely a bad answer.
It was. I don't think you can give a good answer. No, because the reality is, here's the real answer that they could give. We were told by the people in charge of all the money that this division had to make some, and those two studios were the furthest away from shipping a game, so we couldn't shut any others down. So those were the two choices, and that's what we did. Yeah, the end. Yeah. That's the answer, probably. Right? I don't fully know, but that's the answer. Yeah. That doesn't come off as a nice, fluffy corporate talk answer. It just comes up as, that's the deal. Yeah. Like, do you have a boss? That's it. I want to jump back a little bit because there's not a huge amount to talk about in terms of the mobile stuff. Like, I don't think it's we've seen Microsoft's attempt at mobile.
This is a very light beginning. This isn't
this is a very light beginning, but they bailed when they had headway before, and it was a mistake on their part, and they allowed Apple and Android to really dig in, which is foolish of them. But I'm talking a little bit about the future in the cloud. There's an excerpt I wanted to pull out of the XboxEra.com article that Ursula wrote up, because he actually sat down and transcribed what Sarah said. And
it's funny, a lot of people took our transcriptions with ellipses and everything that are very much ours and just used them. It's fine.
Of course they did. Of course they did. I've seen that across forums today.
Using pictures we take out of YouTube videos for thumbnails, and I can tell it's the exact same metadata in the picture. And it's like...
Destin's in the chat.
Hello,
Destin. You kind of missed all the discussion around.
You missed the rage.
It wasn't really rage. We're not really.
We're tepid rage. Group. Yeah, no. We can acknowledge the situation.
Nonplussed rage,
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about because Dina specifically asked Sarah about multi-platform releases. Now, obviously, XboxEra reported earlier this year about Starfield. Microsoft held their podcast and said, it's just 4 games. It's just an experiment. I say XboxEra. Okay, it was me. All right. I'm gonna read verbatim here. So Dina asks, earlier this year, Xbox announced for the first time it's bringing a slate of Xbox exclusive and developed games to rival platforms, to Sony's PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. That obviously was a big change and a little unsettling to Xbox hardware fans. Understatement. How's it going? Do PlayStation gamers really want to play Sea of Thieves? Now, as we learned this week from Chris String and the Games Industry Biz, Sea of Thieves, phenomenal success. Great start in the US.
That? Yes, they do. They really do. Look at the numbers.
They really wanted it.
It was 3 days of the deluxe edition, 1 day of the regular edition. It was number 1 in Europe and number 3 in the US for downloads for the entire month. Yeah. With only a day and 3 days.
Oh man, I'm
And on PlayStation, I don't think you can download unless you own. It's not like Xbox where you can download any game, even if you don't own it.
You have to own it. Yeah, you have to own it.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so Sea of Thieves, great start. It's number 2 in Sakana's weekly bestsellers, tracking during week ending April 27th, up from number 36 the previous week. Bear in mind, it launched on April 30th, but had early access from April 25th, and that's via Matt Piscatella at Sakana. So Dina's asked this question. Sarah's response was, it's early days. I don't have anything specific to share, but we're very encouraged by the reception of our games. One thing I think is important to note, as Xbox, we've been putting games on other platforms for a long time. That's technically true. Minecraft is pretty much available universally. The teams at Bethesda, ABK have games on other platforms. It's a decision we make on a game-by-game basis as we move forward and continue to execute on our strategy. Sidebar, Your Honor, please. I would, and I'm sure the chat would agree, I think everybody, and again, talking back to that parasocial relationship kind of status that Xbox executives have garnered, I think everybody feels like they're kind of owed a little more than that. What's that strategy, please? Can you tell us what you're executing on? Because we were sold, again, I'm just paraphrasing, we were sold the idea that, what was the phrase? The acquisition of Bethesda is about exclusive games where Game Pass exists. I'm paraphrasing, but I think it was something along those lines. Is that still true? Please? Is that the strategy you're executing on? That's where all of this emotion is coming from, because people feel like they're lied to. The conversation moved towards Xbox hardware, right? So we've heard again that business update talking about exciting hardware. We know about a digital Series X. It's not going to set the world on fire, all right? Dina said Xbox's heritage is in console. The energy around the console right now is a little challenged. Many of the hardcore long-term consumers are worried. They're worried about releases on other platforms, worried that it may indicate that Xbox is defocusing on its own hardware. What do you say to them? How do you make them feel that Xbox is still for those players? And Sarah's response was, at first, the worry that I see happening across the industry, and I think a lot of what we see is just industry all up. So it's that's an interesting sentence there. we see happening across the industry, but I think a lot of what we see is just industry all up. What do you think she means by that?
Yeah, I need a bit more clarity on that, because that's
the
a little
whole
bit
industry
word
is
salad.
having major issues. So
It's-
we're
yeah,
not
they're
doing
all
great, but
up in arms.
every publisher
So
has
is
pretty much
everybody
been
else.
firing people or closing stuff, and so
Yeah.
I don't know what part of me read that as, yeah, we just see everybody in the industry talking about it, but we don't actually see it from everybody else, like from the market, like the actual. Not we see it in the Twitter bubble, but we don't see it from the average FIFA COD buyer in the street. Anyway, specifically to core gamers, focus has really been on engineering and building that next generation hardware experience that really, really taps into their needs. All right, come on, handheld. I talked about this a little bit publicly a few months ago, that our focus was on delivering the biggest leap ever. I think the full phrase back then was the biggest technical leap.
Yes.
Interesting choice of words. That's about really thinking through every aspect of what that hardware and what that experience delivers with the core gamer in mind. And that is about power and performance, absolutely a part of it. But it's also about...
She did say power this time.
She did say power and performance is absolutely a part of it.
Last time she only said technological leap, and I was like, she didn't say power.
Yeah.
But she said power this time.
She did say power. She also says it's about the ability to be able to play all of the games. We have people who have been playing on Xbox for decades, invested thousands and thousands of dollars and hours with us, and being able to take everything that they have, all their games with them, into the hardware of the future. So this, to me, feels like a prelude, shall we say, Kay and Jesse, to here is the new, we're releasing games everywhere. But if you stay with us, you've cut your investment, because I guess, is their perspective, do you think, the console market is this big and it is never grown, and Sony sometimes sell more, Nintendo sell this many, we sell this many, but this is the market. And do you know what? We can just be happy with 50 million in that market. Who cares? Because we can now sell games to all of those other people that are happy with those devices on that market. Is that the idea that they think will land?
That's what I think. Like, that's what I've been theorizing. I mean, you hear Phil talk about the store all the time, about, well, not all the time. He's talking about how even his own games don't have this continuity that he's looking for. He's talking about how he name dropped Epic Game Store, and he name dropped itch.io. If he name drops those, remember, this is the guy whose words move financial markets. There's no way that's just a pipe dream that he's hoping for. There are conversations afoot there, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the question then becomes, well, if that's the case, right? It used to be loss leader, right? You buy my box, I sell you my game, right? And my games are sold in my store, and that's how I break even sometimes. If we now live in a world where you buy my box and you don't have to buy in my store, guess what? There's no hardware subsidization.
Nope.
Right? You've heard him say that as well. Like, in a world that we live today,
you're where I'm thinking. We talk about power. We talk about power, baby.
Yes. So, those of us who, and we are the problem, those of us who are spending $600 on things like this.
I'm looking at my 4090 right now with love.
We are teaching bad lessons, right? So, AKA, love my console brethren, sit down, hold on to your butts, start saving now. The hardware will be cool, but it'll cost you, right?
Yeah.
It just will. It just will, But let's be clear here, though. Then it'll actually hopefully do something interesting, right? You now have the ability. They're already talking about keeping your library back and forward compatible, which is great, right? They're talking about other stores coming into the mix, which is great. I have always said that, to me, the idea of exclusives, and I know I'm a minority in that, I'm sorry, throw the virtual tomatoes here, it just is what it is. To me, the idea that the exclusives keep you there is a false narrative. It's a false principle.
I agree.
Oh,
it works for one of them. It works for Nintendo. That's it. It
works for Nintendo and only Nintendo.
But the reason why it works for Nintendo is because they've also honed their creative skill to such a fine point that they'll sell you a friggin' potato for $200.
They don't subsidize shit.
And you will buy it.
They never lower their prices, and people still buy it. So
evergreen.
There's a universe where Zelda looks like Horizon Forbidden West. But you'll never see that world because
that's not how Nintendo operate. You're never going to see it.
It will cost them. So you'll never see that world, right? But on the flip side, these guys now, right? I honestly think that it's a more righteous world where it's not about the games, right? It's about the ecosystem without it. Why do you think everybody on the PC side has to have Steam? They don't offer you any exclusives, right? Their games could live wherever they want. But the ecosystem, the way that the games are, the way that the UI is doled out to you, the convenience, whether you're on Steam Deck or wherever, like it's like a house without any of the furniture. It's still a very pleasant place to be. And then you can add the furniture that you so choose.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Microsoft is heading. Now, the console mains who are from the hashtag graybeards, who are from the recessed streets of my console's better than yours. Yeah, y'all ain't gonna be happy with this one.
Nope. This excites me. This is the one aspect where I'm like, how are they gonna do this? Because here's a future I envision, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, we're Xbox. This is what we're doing, and yeah, you're right. Okay, we're not going to subsidize the hardware anymore. We're not making a $500 box. We're making a $800 box handheld, and we're making a set of specs that any OEM partner can go and build an Xbox, right? Yep. And basically, it's like a custom PC.
If it's slightly subsidized, because like the people making the things that aren't as good as Series S handheld right now, like you can't do, but this costs $700. But it's still not as performant as a Series S most of the time because of the power limitations and all that stuff. So they'll still, they'll have higher targets for cost and lower targets on subsidization, but they'll still be a little bit. They can't jump the
far. Also, the hardware that we're talking about is not the 7840U. It's not the Z1 Extreme. That is the issues of today. The 8000 series is also kind of wishy-washy, so it's
just
not
like
real, because the 8000 series is also here.
It's
it's a few neural processors, yes. But the one after that, if we're talking about the $1 trillion company that can potentially get AMD to move the needle, that one after that stands to be very performant, stands to be something that you want to have, right? And in that world, yeah, man, I want that handheld. Right? I'm excited to see what they do there.
So this is the interesting thing, because there are so many, like the industry being what it is so set in the tribalism of console wars, right? It just is. Everything is framed as us versus that team versus that team. Everything is framed as a win or a loss. There is no nuance to the discussion anymore. It's frustrating to read at times, right? Because I think there's a lot more to it than that. And the reason I'm moderately interested and intrigued by at least the suggestion of what Microsoft is doing is, and it's completely open because we're Windows. So it's Windows at its core. You won't see that. You'll just see the Xbox UI, right? Yep. But because it's open now, yes, you could sideload Steam. Yes, you could sideload GOG. Yes, you could sideload Epic. Yeah, you could USB-C, because we'll build a port in it, your VR headset, and you can have access to the Oculus Store because we've partnered with Meta. All of that kind of stuff intrigues me even more, because then it's like, what is this device? Now, I don't know if it's going to work. And I think there is a subset of people that if they don't go for that $400, $500 price point that's kind of accepted in the console space now, they're going to price themselves out of what is traditionally the console market. It's gone. You'll just lose that.
Now, I don't think that will happen immediately, though. I think it's a transition. Like, I don't think next 2 years from now, unfortunately, here's the minimum spec and it's $800. I don't think they do that. It becomes a gradual progression. Maybe sooner hardware revisions, and hey, you want that more performant GPU? Here's that more performant GPU, and oh, by the way, while
almost
telling
like
you
mobile
amazing things it does, will also increase the price a little. It's the iPhone to the iPhone S model. Every other year, cyclical. That's how you slowly boil the frog in the water. you don't turn it up to 11 right from jump, as they say. So
and it's worth saying here that I don't think anybody on the panel here tonight is like, yeah, this is the best idea ever. But is it at least like, am I intrigued? But yeah, I can't lie that I'm like, how the hell are you going to do this? Yeah. Because I see all of the same pitfalls that you see, chat. You know, I can see Destiny in the chat like, oh, yeah, you've had a terrible year. Here's an $800 console. Here's a lead balloon. Right? You know, like I can understand that mentality. Yeah. But clearly, as much as I say all of this, Microsoft are doing something different, right? They are going to change the status quo. You know, what's the phrase? Yeah, we know we've already lost the console war. And I think that they truly believe, they've taken that to heart, right? They live in a world where, for any multi-platform game, 80% of the media out there that do reviews and all of that jazz review it on PlayStation. Because guess what? It's the market leader and it's the preferred place to play. Not just for the public, but for the majority of the game's media.
If you can't beat them, join them mode, right?
Microsoft,
y'all keep saying, even if our games are amazing, you dock a point because it should be on the home platform.
Hellblade 2 has already said this game's so good it deserves to be on PlayStation. Was in the coverage.
Like, exactly. We can't beat you. We'll join you. Money.
I'll bet you money that it probably will end up on PlayStation.
Yeah. Wow.
But
oh boy.
Like. And it strikes me as amusing that there are many that would call out and be like, oh no, you know, it's all fair, everyone's objective, and I'm like, human beings aren't always objective. You can say I'm going to try and be objective, but it's got to come into play at some point.
Reviews are subjective; they can't not be. It would just be a list of facts if it was objective. It would be very boring.
Yeah. It would be very boring. You've got to have some personality in there. So yeah, I am intrigued to see what Microsoft does. They talk a little bit here at the end of this interview with Sarah, talking a little bit about Game Pass. And she says, we know our core users love Game Pass. Game Pass is a gaming subscription. You get a whole portfolio of games, but importantly, you get every single one of the games we build day one in Game Pass. So here's the vehicle. Here's why you buy the machine. That's what they're saying. If the Game Pass is never going to be on another competing device, it's never going to be on Switch, it's never going to be on PlayStation, that's the catch-all. That's where they try and ensnare their user base. Because you buy our console and you subscribe, you pay the maximum of 2 or 3 games a year, you get access to everything we make ever. That's pretty attractive. Is it enough to change the entire market and flip it on its head? I honestly don't know. A lot of people are stuck in their ways. A lot of people like to own their games, regardless.
Own.
Own this digital code that could be revoked at any time. And equally, you know, we hear the argument made, well, hang on a second, XboxEra team. If I can choose to buy a device, why wouldn't I? If Microsoft are releasing all of their games over here and over here, and Sony aren't or Nintendo aren't, why don't I just buy their device and then I can have access to all of their games and all of their games, and that's me done. And that's where the concern about the hardware that Xbox are going to make in the future comes from, because it's what happens when that sense of ownership and the community that they fostered, that parasocial relationship between execs and the fan base, even the crazy ones that they fostered over the last 20 years, that gets eroded because, well, I don't need this box specifically anymore unless I absolutely love Game Pass more than everything else. And that's a big risk. This is why I'm intrigued. I don't fully see their vision yet. And I am so curious if June rolls around, if they try and lay some of that.
They start showing some of the building blocks of that.
They got to show
I'm
something.
with you. Yeah.
We're operating almost entirely on insider leaks and stuff. So it's very... Yeah. It's like their messaging is bad. It's like, no, their security is bad, but it's also because they're too big to keep everything hidden. Like their messaging might suck. I have no idea. They haven't really gotten to do any yet because everything just keeps leaking. So,
Yep.
And if in a week like this, you never know if the stuff that's leaking is actually legit or not, which is even more frustrating.
I got to call out Destin in the chat. It's harder to get an Xbox code than a PS5 code usually. Yep. I agree. I don't know how much of that is Xbox's own certification codes. We have the same.
It's
we have
Xbox
the same
certification.
problem.
They are more stringent on their certification lately. Not
But
everything.
We've also had it.
But yeah.
We've also had it with developers where they're like, yeah, the Xbox code isn't ready yet because they prioritized the market leader first. Understandably. So I think there's two edges to that.
Hey, even
absolutely
Xbox prioritizes the market leader first sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, often you'll get a Steam code.
You know.
But yes, it's regardless of all of the drama of this week, and everybody up in their feels. I said 4 or 5 years ago this is going to be the most interesting gen. Well, it certainly has been. Very interesting. I can't help but feel, complete tangent here, nothing has really worked out how Microsoft probably planned for it. Like Halo launching with the Xbox, COVID, the game's in rough shape, everything went wrong, hardware shortages, like FTC trials. It just, nothing seemed to go right for these guys at all. Yep. Man, rough.
Yep.
And yeah, they've only been making
like
$5 billion a quarter. Poor guys.
Yeah. They're still making money hand over fist.
And every time one of those things goes wrong, they're expected to come out and say, we did that on purpose. That's how it was supposed to go. Right? And if they make any kind of slip-ups, it's like, come on, guys, you could do better than that. They've been adapting to a lot of crazy stuff.
I think there's a difference where people look at what Microsoft wants versus... They look at what Microsoft wants as success versus what any of us would actually look at it. Like, they're all making a ton of money. Every platform
they're having a good
outside of Embracer.
Make it about versus the other team.
Yeah, outside of Embracer, everyone's still making ungodly amounts of money. It's just, in their eyes, it's bad. Like, Dustin called it a bad year. And it's like, well, no, they are making more money than ever. I think for any of us, perfectly good year. Boy, I've made $5 billion in this quarter. I'm making way more than I spend. Cool shit. But for them, it's bad, and they look to pivot if it's not going to be enough growth, because that's always the thing they always come back to. They come back to growth. I don't think most of us care about growth. We just care about having shit to play and knowing it's going to be around for a long time. So the reality is they're all successful. All the platforms are. You could argue, and I don't think it would work great, you could try and argue that Sony's been the least successful at keeping the money they earn lately. But even in the long run, they're still making so much freaking money, they'll be just fine. Like, it's...
Yeah.
You just get to keep less of it because of all of their operating costs and all of that, and the marketing that people want everybody else to do.
For everything I hear about... Sony bangers and all of that sort of stuff, like, and the touting of the sales numbers and yada, yada, yada. Like, you never see really a Sony exclusive sell to the quantity of a Nintendo big exclusive. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll never see like 50 million copies sold.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Switch has been an abnormality this time.
Absolutely.
Like, it has just been insane, their attach rate and their numbers, where like their lower tier first party stuff is like 10 million, and then they've just got tons that are 20 and 30, and then they've got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which didn't do bonkers on the Wii U because no one bought it, is now like one of the biggest games
I bought
ever.
it. I have it on the Wii U right here, and then I had to buy it again for my kids. Like that
Of course
game,
you did. That's Nintendo.
Of course I did. That game has sold so much. Like, oh my god! Like, why would they ever make another one? Like, it's just crazy about the amounts that game sells, But that's Nintendo.
Yeah. The last thing here, when they're talking about Game Pass, you're going to see some really big games going into Game Pass later this year. Dina on this interview said from Activision's portfolio or ... Sarah said across the whole slate, you're going to see some really amazing things, and keeping that as something that is really special for Xbox players is central to us. So again, there's that. Game Pass is the vehicle.
Yeah,
now,
they know they can't put it anywhere else. It is the unique sell factor of, if we make a bunch of games you like, if you're playing online on our system anyways, like, you can spend eventually $20 a month for Game Pass Ultimate, because they'll probably raise it, because everything's getting raised. Netflix is going up again. Max is going up again. Everything just keeps going up as far as these goddamn friggin' streaming shits. So Xbox Game Pass will go up again. Who knows when? But yeah, you can pay that. You can do your conversions. If you use our platform a ton and you love Bing, you can get it for free by spending it 30 hours a week getting Microsoft reward points if you're in the right country. That's their thing. And then it'll be whatever this new hardware is mixed with just a billion games because they have so many devs.
Yeah, well, a few less now as of this week. So, is there anything more that I think we can say on either of these issues at this point? Like, I feel like we've had some, and I appreciate chat. They've been mostly well behaved. Thank you ever so much. If anyone has any additional questions or points that we've missed, drop us a chat. Let us see it so that we can flag it and we can jump on it. But yeah, I don't have much more to say. I think I expect 4 to 5 weeks of silence, honestly. Now, I think Microsoft will probably start dropping, like usually before the June showcase rolls around, we'll get like some announcements and you'll think, oh, that's cool. But why wasn't that on stage? Okay, they've probably got and what I'm hearing is the show is absolute fire. Like
Yeah, I heard the same.
I've heard nothing and I never will. And I don't want to.
You've heard it from me. A certain Verge journalist did drop a little hint in the chit chat, and God,
yeah, I know.
No, don't let him in. Don't let him in.
He
His
has
Mother's
full
Day.
power.
He wanted the day off.
You let him
He's
get
got
the
the day
login.
off.
He can set himself in. I can't hold him out unless you change the password.
Oh God. Oh, fucking hell. Honestly.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
The ego on this, well, say goodbye. I was like, yeah, we'll talk about some other news now, wrap it up in an hour, job done. But no. Oh, he's not coming now.
Oh.
Yes. I always have the 2, 3, and 4 cameras ready to go.
We'll get the Dorito Pope to start wrapping it up when he goes on a rant. Come on, Nick. If you're coming, get in there.
He's getting ready for the football soon, anyways. But he's been in chat a lot. People go back through the VOD. If you're listening to the MP3 or something, go check out the YouTube VOD with chat, and you'll see Nick ranting and raving.
Oh, Destin asked who John is. This guy.
The colonist.
What else have we got? Yeah, keep it in the super chat, guys. If you've got anything else you want us to cover, we'll jump on. Fallout 4. Fallout Fever is still going strong. Made top 6 in monthly active users on Xbox for April. And thankfully, I think Bethesda released an update to their patch.
It's coming this week.
For next gen.
Yeah, they said there'll be more graphical options and stuff because it really does seem like they just wanted Fallout 4 to run at 60 on Xbox because they didn't drop that much. But they're going to add in more things. So we got a $2 super chat from executive producer Mohammed Shirazi saying, "Do not let Nick in," which is crazy because he loves Nick. He's all about. He wants Nick to have a wonderful Mother's Day. That's going to be it. He doesn't want Nick to get
like a typo.
Yeah, he doesn't want Nick to get in trouble with the wife.
Fair.
There you go. That's nice.
Be sensible, Nick. Play
The
long
MAU,
game, bro.
the Fallout MAU thing was US from Circana from Matt Piscatello, where both lists were almost the exact same, except for you just put Helldivers at 6 on PlayStation and Fallout at 6 on Xbox, and it's mostly the same shit every month for April. Yeah, never changes.
Yeah. Fortnite, Apex, COD, Grand Theft Auto, Minecraft. Those guys, the stalwarts. The stalwarts.
Call of Duty HQ and Fortnite pretty much always at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. Mohammed followed up with another super chat saying we can have a 5-hour show next week. I will be turning 40 next week and will not be letting that age me an additional year.
Welcome, Greybeard.
Old Greybeard.
There'd be a couple
You have
things.
no power here.
There'd be a couple things for the next one because there's an update on the Helldivers side of this.
Yeah. I'm going to do something. Yeah, let me. Destin, drop me a DM on Discord, bro. Let's get Destin in here. I want to hear from Destin because Destin's been in the industry a long time and he's got thoughts. And I think I saw a video of his earlier today and he looks disappointed.
I would like to mention I would like to talk a little bit about that Helldivers 2 thing, because I feel like maybe I'm a rare snowflake in that, and people have moved on, and I am somewhat still a little bit heated about that.
People have moved on, but Sony has actually doubled down.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. Yes, and why you will understand why I'm unique to that situation is a lot of those places that can't play are places where I am from, right? And it seems that as long as you're upfront about treating them like second-class citizens, that makes it okay.
And there's even more. They added three more regions that now can. So Helldivers 2 and Ghost of Tsushima cannot be purchased in 180-ish regions on Steam. Yeah. Steam has come out and said it was not their choice. It was PlayStation's choice, that anywhere you cannot legally have a PlayStation Network account, you cannot buy the game. Even when with Ghost of Tsushima, it is only for one specific online co-op mode that you need that account. It's like, oh, you can't do the multiplayer. We're just going to completely cut you off. You don't even get the single player legally. So
what bothers me about this is just like, and cast your mind back for just a short time, a short history lesson here. Remember when Cyberpunk 2077 came out, horribly broken on console, right? And it's not worth purchasing, and then PlayStation removed it from their store. People touted it, and they gave pats on the back to PlayStation for doing so. My take on that at the time was, so instead of fixing their broken store policy, they remove it from the store altogether, right? I know people who to this very day, if a game hits your hard drive and you choose to not want to play it, they will insist you keep it. And if you go to your bank and say, no, I'm pulling it back, guess what they'll do? They'll ban your account until you pay it. To this very day. Why? Because you let them just remove it from the store and didn't call them to task for actually fixing their damn store. And the same thing is happening here. Oh, yeah, just cut it from 177 countries. How about you do the work to fix it so these people can feel like first-class citizens? I'm sorry, I'm on my square. I went to Ghana, could not log into my PlayStation
It's okay.
account.
It's a bizarre, like if Steam can do it and if Microsoft can do it, I'm pretty sure Sony can find a solution here.
Yeah, Microsoft's solution is, we don't have accounts everywhere, but we don't give a shit. You can just change your location whenever. What do we care? As long as we're
not going to come for you.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you, valued customer.
We've got a couple of super chats which I want to tackle here. Destin, if you're still watching, add me on Discord. Gamer tag is Sicka Mechanico. It's the same as my Twitter handle without the underscores, and I'll drop you a link to the show, and you can hop in. We've got one here from Nerds and Other Legends. I don't understand the Game Pass strategy. He says, where are they going to get more subs from? And if there aren't any exclusives and the console isn't selling, what do they do? That's exactly a salient question, right? What is this strategy, and what does it actually mean? Like, we're trying to, and again, it's the same with the limited bits of information. The studios have closed. We've been given a couple of reasons why we don't know the full picture. We're probably never going to know the full picture, but we'll try and put a picture together for you, and you'll see lots of different opinions on the internet about different things. Same thing with this. Like, we're trying to work our way through the supposed direction they're going. This more open platform, side-loading different store. Like, how does that work? We don't have the answer. Hence why I use the word intriguing, because quite like you, I don't know how this works. At least it doesn't work if we're in the traditional console market. But it seems that Microsoft is going to
change that market,
lift Xbox out of that market and do something else. What does that mean for us? Well, we're being assured that everything will go with us. We're hearing talks about forward compatibility. We're talking about a technical leap, choice. But what does that actually mean, for your business strategy? Now, is it our job to care about that? No. But if we're going to continue investing thousands and thousands of dollars into that platform, we kind of want to be ensured that it has a future. And that's the rub right now, that the answer we don't have is, what's your assurance? And we saw Destiny in the chat earlier saying he feels that they've lost trust. He doesn't trust what they say.
And very good point.
I never did. Because it's PR. I don't trust
Don't
PR.
believe executives.
I take what they say, and I'll keep it in mind for the future, but until you do something, it doesn't matter. It's just PR.
Yeah. Yeah.
Indeed.
What else have we got here?
Assassin
Assassin
Entertainment.
Entertainment executive producer with a $5 super chat says, Nate the Hate says, Perfect Doc is going to be at the showcase in June, and the bad state of the game is outdated. Grub did say the opposite. He has since updated on Twitter earlier today. He said he has heard recently that the game
he
will
reached
be at the
out.
showcase.
Reached out to more people.
Time for a leak off.
Jez has been saying. Jez said, "What about next month?" Like everyone seems to be hearing, Perfect Dark will be shown. It's the thing that, and Grub also said the thing that I saw when he was doing the show live. He was like, "This happens a lot with games. This isn't unique. Games are in really bad shape in various ways. They can play great, but the story's fucked up, or their graphics are just not working right. Like there's a ton of ways it could mean it, but people will extrapolate exactly what they think it means based on what they kind of want it to mean. And if you're very negative feeling, you'll focus on the negative. If you're positive feeling, you're going to focus on the positive, and then you're going to run with that like it's a reality, when the only reality is, again, it's not specific enough to actually tell you anything. It didn't. When was it in rough shape? Like, is it in rough shape right now? How rough is it? What type of roughness? What does that mean? Is the game close so they don't really have that much time to fix it? Like, it just, there's so many variables, but people like talking, and our industry is people pretending they know what they're talking about. So you get this type of discourse.
Yeah, we're all doing it right now. But yes, I think Perfect Dark will be there. I think Fable will be there. I think State of Decay 3 will be there. I think Gears will be there in interesting ways. I think a lot of things. I think Nick will be fine.
There's a guy in chat who just said, he's gone forever now. I didn't even see it because I was talking. PS5 sold 71 million versus 4 million for Series X. Like, goddamn. It's gotten worse.
Wow.
So many
It's
people
the
have
Wii
sent
U
them
of
back.
Xbox
They've sent
consoles.
back like 30 million consoles now. And then people immediately turned around and spent that money on PlayStation. I hate to see it.
Yeah, japes. What else? Speaking of Helldivers 2, by the way, slight tangent. I don't know if you saw my Twitter post earlier. My partner's son school sent out a newsletter, and it had this whole section on Helldivers 2. If your kids are playing, it's really graphic and da-da-da-da-da. Perhaps if you're on Xbox, consider playing Halo the Master Chief Collection. Okay. Wow.
The early Halo games, comparatively to games at the time, were bloody and had body horror. Like, they weren't nice. They weren't like Peppa Pig.
Is that what Microsoft's spending their marketing dollars on? Like indoctrination of the youths?
It was part of the deal with the CMA.
Solid strategy. Speaking of PlayStation's PC strategies with Helldivers and Ghost of Tsushima and everything else, God of War Ragnarok is rumored to be the next PC port from PlayStation. This is via I believe a French site called Dia Labs, but I think it's a known leaker, Billy Coon. I can never pronounce.
Yeah,
Billy Coon. There you go.
Because Billy Coon is like the Twitter of China, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Billy.
Okay. But yeah, God of War Ragnarok. I mean, it's not unexpected. Sony know
it's everything that was in the NVIDIA leak. Everything that was in there. This is part of it. There's no reason to ever think it wouldn't have come. Like, it's a great game that's going to probably look unbelievable if it's anything like the Horizon Forbidden West port. It's going to look crazy good and be very fun. So yeah, I'll send a message to PlayStation once again saying, hey, I'd like to stream this, and they'll ignore it again, like they always do. Just ask Mr. Badbit. They never respond to anyone.
They don't talk to Xboxera.
They don't talk to anyone. They don't talk to any PlayStation people. Like they don't talk. They ignore you.
Wow.
But this one should be purchasable everywhere.
Also require. Should it be, or will it require?
There's no multiplayer in God of War, is there?
Is that a requirement?
It was a
Multiplayer
requirement
is where they will insist on.
Yeah, because it was a requirement because of the Legends. Like, it wasn't a requirement in Forbidden West.
Sure. Okay.
So as long if there's any multiplayer that they want to do their, get your PlayStation account for syncing up and all that type of stuff, then yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if they're not saying anything because they're not stupid. They know they're probably going to want to have a PlayStation store on PC, a PlayStation launcher. They'll still put everything out on Steam because it's insane not to. But to have your own one that is fully cross-buy and cross-play and cross-save and all that is just makes sense. It's the way you would get it. It's like the only in. It wouldn't be exclusive in any way. Maybe that's the thing that you can buy in more countries. Maybe they figure it out at that point. Then probably not. I'm probably just daydreaming, but a man can hope.
Yeah. Emil in the chat is saying God of War Ragnarok wasn't part of the Nvidia leak. It was just the first God of War.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it makes sense. It's been a while since Ragnarok.
The words
came
God
out
of War
PS5.
were in that leak. I'll take it.
Yeah. Winning.
Technically
yes,
correct.
I'm just pinging because I don't know if Destin's still watching. If he's trying to DM me on Discord, I've just found him on Twitter, so I've dropped him a link. See if he wants to jump in. Keep an eye out in the
I'm never in there
on the
That's you.
StreamYard. Oh, okay.
I'm in OBS.
What else? This one, I love this in some ways because it's clear that developers also play games. Gamers are developers. Developers are gamers. Evil Empire, developers of the Rogue Prince of Persia, which Jesse did a preview on back in March.
It's
which
very
you really
fun.
Loved.
It's very early access, unlike the game that they are avoiding, as said in their own message on Twitter.
Yeah, they literally posted a tweet saying, hey, we were about to launch the Rogue Prince of Persia into early access, but we're all playing Hades 2, and,
You are too.
you are as well, and maybe we'll just delay for a little while until everyone's kind of played through that a bunch and had their addiction out of the way, and then maybe we'll have some time for us. I really appreciate that. I think that's just being very honest with their audience. It's kind of like, it's nice as well. I hope the Hades 2 team were nice to them as well. It's really, really, really clever. But I wish them the best of luck for their early access journey. I'll certainly be checking it out. And I know, Jesse, you'll look quite looking
Really sounded like you said
well.
jacking it out. I was very confused for a moment. Go back and check the tape.
Term. Checking it out. Checking it out with a ch. Honestly.
Yeah.
And last but not least, and I really should have lumped this in with all of the Fallout stuff, it was confirmed that Fallout was the biggest hit on Nielsen in the US Prime Video has ever had. Ever. By some way as well.
Yeah. 'Twas huge, as the kids say.
Yeah. Or as that other guy says. Yeah. There you go. That's all the news. That's all the news.
And now Nick's driving chat
gentlemen.
crazy because he can't stop teasing.
He can't stop
Teasing showcase stuff.
Bluey was second, rightly so, because Bluey is
because
the best.
Bluey was number 2, which is what it truly is. A big old piece of number 2.
Brett Bingham, $5 super chat in the chat here says, how can I invest in the PlayStation ecosystem if they keep making anti-consumer moves? Pick a lane. Sony MAUs or dollars? Pick one. What do you want?
It hasn't changed from them, so people are used to this. They're like 30 years into it. It's the same as Nintendo. You know what you're getting. They're not going to be different. Let me get you a
the
buzzing
devil
code.
you know, as they say.
Absolutely. Now, I've not played this, so you're going to have to fill me in.
No, we're going back. You missed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had the inspiration. So let me get you the code because we are about to play ourselves a little bit of Name a Game. Hitting that button.
Yes.
All right. I don't have anything set up. God damn it, I didn't change the freaking scoreboard. Okay, give me 1 second. Sick.
It's okay. Sure. Yes.
K. Asante with Nick's face. Oh, God.
Indeed.
I'm really sorry. You're just going to look like Nick.
Asante with Nick's
And Sick is going to look like Gene Park in his avatar.
That's fine. I'm fine with it.
You're Kirby with really nice hair. So
I'm down. So if you're watching right now, chat, every week on the XboxEra podcast, we play a little game to provide some brevity, some laughs. But we play it because we love our patrons. So if you are a Patreon supporting member for the XboxEra team, we are playing for you as champions in a game of Name a Game. The point is Jesse will take the names of games across a theme, and he'll change the words around to be synonyms. So classic example I always use, Perfect Dark becomes Immaculate Shadow.
It means I can never
He's
use
going to
Perfect
quiz.
Dark.
You've never used it because, yeah, sorry about that. He's going to quiz me and Kay. Kay is playing for one of our patrons, Cameron Jones, and I will be playing
I'm sorry, Cameron.
I will be playing for Mike C. And we'll try and win you a game code out of Jesse's huge collection of video game codes. So keep an ear out if you are the winner, and good luck to you. Kay?
First one's
Wish
not
you
Jade
best of
Empire.
luck.
So people were saying Jade Empire on the screen.
and-
It's not Jade Empire. That was the last question of last week for what year, my dear?
Yeah. And bear in mind, I don't know. I have pinged Destin to see if he wants to join. I've sent him a link. If he joins, he might be joining after this. We'll pivot accordingly if he does. But let's crack on with the show as it is right now before we go off on any wild tangents.
I really feel like I
Jesse.
should update your avatars, but it's too late. All right.
Don't worry about it. What's the
category.
theme this week?
It's been on the screen. I didn't hide it. It is games made by devs who have been closed.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
There's a lot.
All right.
There's thousands
a lot.
of games that have been made
Okay.
by those devs. All right. Number 1. 2 words total. Your hint is godly person's squabble. 2 words total. Godly person's squabble. Godly hyphen person's squabble. Sick Mechanico.
Saints Row.
Correct.
Oh yeah.
They've had a row.
Felt good.
I know
Felt
it's
good.
wow, but don't yell at me.
I know, but I got it. It's fine.
Well
I
done.
have to make
Well
the
done.
next one fit. You know what that means? It's going to be real dumb. Okay.
Uh-oh.
1-0 lead for John Mechanico. Clark Mechanico. Number 2 is 5 words total. Oh, wait, no. 6 words total. Yes. I missed a little one.
Okay.
The hint is cool-hedgehog strategies, Marvel-vampire hunter of the display-rifle.
What? Come on.
There you go.
Cool hedgehog.
Cool hedgehog strategies, Marvel vampire hunter of the display rifle. All the hyphens are in private chat.
Oh my god. Cool hedgehog strategies.
I love this developer.
Marvel vampire hunter of the display rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. And these are all closed developers, right?
Mm-hmm.
That no longer exist.
Yeah, this developer just closed.
Oh my god, I know this.
Crying little girl
I know
face.
this thing. Crying little girl face? What is that?
That was their logo.
Oh my god. Oh.
I am at a loss here.
Cool
I've
hedgehog
kind
would
of
not be
got-
Sonic, John.
I've got
No.
I know. I've got Blade's in there, right? Marvel Vampire Hunter, Blade of the something. Right? Blade of the something.
Could be. Well, you got to buzz and give a chance.
Yeah, but I don't know the rest.
No. Yeah. No. I thought it was something, but it's not. It's definitely not that. It's definitely not that.
Cool hedgehog.
Oh, god damn it. Yeah, hold on. I got to fix the video feed. There we go. I accidentally minimized you. Fixed. There's just blank.
Cool.
We're good.
Right now.
Cool hedgehog strategy. I don't know. I
Okay.
think you're gonna have to stop the timer on this one,
No,
bro.
no one got it.
Yeah.
It is Shadow Tactics, Blade of the Shogun. From Mimimi Games.
Shogun display rifle. Okay, smart.
Display run. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Fair enough.
seriously, Shogun. Come on. Okay.
Yeah. You just gotta think. It's not. They're not always
works.
super.
It worked.
They're not always
Yes.
super. They're not smart. Most of the time, they're not smart. Just don't go in hoping for smartness. All right, 1-0 lead for John Mechanico. It is soldier-of-fortune, recreational-area of obliteration. Put in private chat for you. Soldier of fortune, recreational area of obliteration.
Oh, I know this.
You could. Nick, sick.
Mercenaries, playground of destruction.
Correct.
Fucking yeah, I'm on it. I'm on it, baby.
You're
One
actually
more,
awake
come on, Kay.
for these games.
Yeah,
now.
I'm sorry, Sharon.
I've got this.
Alright.
I've got this in the bag.
Next one, a lot shorter. It's only one word.
Okay.
A single word title.
Come on, Kay. This is all on you. Got to get
My
one.
hint is mock up. Mock up. Single word title. Mock up.
Mock up.
Mock hyphen up. Kay Asante.
Mock up.
Yep.
He buzzed.
Yeah, I did. It starts with a P.
Timer starting. 9, 8.
Prototype.
Correct.
Hey!
Mock up. Prototype. Yeah.
Well played. Well played. That's good.
Don't call it a comeback. It's been here for years.
Been here for years. That's right.
The next one for either a John Mechanico victory or a Kay Asante tie is 2 words. The hint is greetings beneath battles with a hyphen for greetings and beneath. Greetings beneath battles.
Greetings.
Things beneath battles.
2 words. Studio that made this game
Greetings
has been
beneath.
closed.
Well, yeah. All of that's not a help. That's not a help.
Greetings beneath battles.
This is really,
Greetings
it's
beneath.
really stupid. But it's not hard because Nick got it, which means it's pretty easy.
Greetings.
Now he's typing
So-
it and more angry.
Okay. Greetings. So,
Greetings. Now I won't
Starting the
switch
timer.
to the chat screen.
9,
Uh,
8, 7, 6,
Greetings beneath battles.
It's
4, 3, 2, 1.
no.
Halo Wars. Hey, Low Wars.
Oh,
What?
hey.
Come on.
Whoa. Wars.
Come on.
Oh
Seriously?
My God.
Yeah.
Are we
Nick got
alone
it
in that we
45
both
times
failed?
in chat. He was yelling it, angry at you for not getting it. Yeah. He really wants you to know he got it.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry, Nick.
Next one for either
I
a win
failed.
or a tie. It is one word, but it's a really long, stupid hint. That hint
Oh,
I will
God.
put in chat for
Okay.
you right now. It is platter on the back of an elephant. Oh, shit, turtle. Platter on the back of a turtle. Wrong animal.
Oh, fuck.
Starting the
On
timer.
back of a truck.
9, 8,
On the
7,
back of a truck.
6, 5, 4, sick.
No.
I don't know. Discworld.
You said it as the timer went out, but you are correct.
Oh wow.
Really?
Wow.
Which studio was closed
How-
for Discworld?
It was-
Signosis?
Yeah, Signosis. I actually
Wow.
wrote it on that one so I remember. Signosis.
Like, as soon as
Well
you
done,
said turtle, I was like, there was either
I don't know
that
why I
game that was
wrote
in Game
elephant.
Pass recently, which was like a city builder on the back of a turtle.
Oh, yeah, that's still in early access.
And I was like, is it that? But then platter, I was like, okay, it's a disc,
Yeah.
silver disc tray thing.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say civilization on the back of a turtle. That would be really obvious. But
That would
you-
give it away.
still.
Yes.
All right, for
Okay,
funsies,
okay.
we've got a few
I
more.
don't feel as much. I got one. I'm happy with that. Continue. Yes.
For funsies, the next one is one word in total. The hint is crash and burn.
Crash and
Crash and burn. One word total.
Crash and burn.
The word
Oh.
is a compound word, though.
I can't buzz. I can't
you can.
buzz.
You did. Go ahead.
Oh, burnout?
Yeah.
Incorrect.
I did the same thing.
Oh,
No.
it's open. Okay, it's open.
You got 10 seconds
No,
to
I
guess.
was going to say the same thing. Crash and burn. Burn out.
No,
I was going to say the same thing.
Think PlayStation.
Think PlayStation.
Racing game everyone really loves from them.
Wipeout.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. A lot of
Fair.
one word ones this week. The next one is just a simple smear. Smear.
Smear.
Yep.
Smear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Smear.
God damn it is Halo Wars. Nick got it again. he yelled that as a joke. Jack got it. Cisco Roke. Correct.
Smear.
Smear.
Okay,
Smear.
Asante.
Smear. Blur.
Correct.
Oh, Activision. Bizarre Creations, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
Bizarre Creation.
Yes.
Yeah. Good shout.
All right.
Well played.
The next
I
one.
like the one word ones. Easier to get.
I agree.
The next one is 2 words. The hint is slain cavity.
Slain
Cavity.
cavity. So
360 and PlayStation 3 Classic.
slain cavity. Dead. Dead
Asante.
hole.
Dead Space.
Correct.
Ah, yeah, there you go. Okay. You're
You said
welcome.
dead and you got me.
I've already won. I'm fine with it.
No,
I'm fine with it.
Last one. We'll do it real quick in the interest of time. It is very long. The Chief of the Circles, the return of the Overlord.
Sorry, say that again. The chief.
The Chief of the Circles, the return of the Overlord.
Easy.
John.
Easy.
Yeah,
Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
correct. I forget the friggin' studio, but correct.
I do too. I can't.
Yeah,
remember.
I was trying to
I
remember
remember
who
playing
it was.
though. It was fun. It was fun.
There you go. That was
GG's.
naming a gaming.
We did name some games. Many thanks, Jesse, as always, for prepping those curious brain tweezers. Apologies, Cameron Jones. Kay let you down.
No, I told you. Sorry, Cameron. I had to do it. And now I'm looking at the chat, and yes, Nick is like furiously. My bad, man. I'm sorry.
Congratulations to Mike C, who wins a game. So you're a patron. You can reach out to us on Discord. So the community Discord for XboxEra, discord.gg/XboxEra, or you can ping us in the Patreon lounge or on the forums, forum.xboxera.com. Many thank you to all of our patrons for the support.
And
we
the new
love you
ones.
guys. And all the new ones that joined today, like 3 in one show is awesome for us. We absolutely, like, we don't get to do what we do every week, all of the coverage, all of the awesome video
Every
reviews.
review, every stream, every podcast is paid for by patrons.
It's
they
you
would not
guys that are
exist without
enabling all
you
of that.
at all.
So, pat yourselves on the back because you guys are fucking awesome. And on that note, speaking of those wonderful patrons, we now turn to community questions. So one of the perks, one of the benefits, especially for the new patrons that have signed up this week to be a founding member of the XboxEra community, every week we open up a thread ahead of the podcast going live for you guys to ask us your questions, what you want to talk about. We'll read them out live on air. It's one of the best perks of being a patron because you get to have your say. And we're going to go through all of those now. If you do want to support XboxEra on Patreon, head to patreon.com/XboxEra. You also get loads of really cool merch depending upon what tier you get. And seriously, some of it is genuinely awesome. We offer more, I think, than most big games publication Patreons. Go figure. Seriously, go check out others. We give more. Others are like, we'll record a show every week. No, we actually give you stuff. So, check it out. Anyway, I get to read these this week. This feels good. It feels good. I'm in the hot seat.
You remember how to read?
I do remember how to read. It was it's one of
those
the only
British
skills
school
I really
systems.
have.
Ever since the Tories took over.
Tell me
Says
about
the
it.
Floridian. Stop that. No.
I know. We know.
Jesse, brother, The one and only Travis. Happy end of the bloody world panel, at least for Xbox, according to its emotional former fans. I think we know how Trav feels about all of this. After the pathetic melodrama we saw and heard this past week, you'd think that Tim Dog found out Phil Spencer cheated on him with Colin Moriarty. Cheeseworks suddenly discovered he is now lactose intolerant, lacked the stream Jarl, and Ursel found out his Maple Leafs lost to my Bruins yet again. Oh wait, that last one did happen. Well, at least Nick isn't around to ruin John's rare Saturday appearance. My question this week is for my wonderful brother, Jesse Joseph Samuel Norris. Jesse, any chance you may finally take a day off for yourself this summer and just have Kay, Asante sit in for you, or maybe poor little Soul Blazers? Lastly, remember features like this every time someone cries out that there's been no marketing for Hellblade 2. And yes, I am judging you, chat. I think so the link he's given is for the Psychosis feature, which is about how they dived into Psychosis for Hellblade 2. I'll put a link in the chat if you haven't watched it. It's a pretty cool video.
And also, it shows an actual graphical upgrade. Like if the clips they show in that compared to the trailers they showed, it looks better, which is crazy.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
But Jesse, you going to take a day off this summer?
Probably not.
Man's a machine.
The man's got to
You probably should, though. Like, take it easy. Relax.
So the way this works, I'm either right here in this chair, which is very comfy. Thank you. No one yells at me like they did at Paris. This is a $1,700 chair I got to keep. There's also a couple $1,000 chairs over there we get to keep. It's fine. But I'm either here or I'm on my couch. So I can be here trying to build the site up more and just playing games I wanted to play anyways, or typing up really boring SEO articles that only take like 10 minutes and then get 5,000 views and make like friggin' $200. So it's just, it's not that crazy a thing it's not hard physical manual labor. It's the only thing that ever sucks is moderating. You miserable shits who know who you are, who try and ruin it for everyone else who's great. And it's not about, you got to be positive, you can't be negative, or we banned as many people this week for toxic positivity of just trying to hand wave away hundreds of people being fired as we did for being complete shitheads and calling for jobs and insulting people. Like, it's very hard to balance, especially because myself and John get paid and no one else does. And so it's very hard to balance that because I can't just look at the other people on the team like Cengiz and Proven and Ursel and Predrag and Fairy Empire, who all do so much freaking work for free as we are trying desperately to build it up. So
you didn't say Nick. You didn't.
Yeah, I said people doing work. So trying to build it up.
I cue him up, he knocks them down.
To be a place where we can bring on a Nick, where we can finally pay Predrag the $10 million he's owed, like for the amount of work he's done and how good it is. So, will I take a day off?
We're very lucky.
Eventually,
yeah. We're effectively this is our job, and we care about it. We care about the community that we've built a lot, and we're always pretty much plugged in.
Yeah, I was 80 hours a week when it was volunteer, just because that's the only way you can review anything like big game. Yeah. You got 6 days to review Elden Ring. Okay, that's going to be a nice 80 hours in 6 days. Like, it's just it's the nature of the beast, but it helps grow the patron. So it's the mix. Super long, hard stuff that nobody ends up watching a ton of is to pull in patrons because they like the reviews, they like the podcast, they like the shows, the live streams I do, like all that stuff is for patrons and to try and make them feel like they're getting value out of it. And so if I'm just going to sit back and play the Division 2 on computer, I can hang out with like 30, 40 people, shoot the shit, have fun, and it's more content. I was going to do it anyways. So
fair.
It's a good balance. I think it is a good balance overall. I do not feel overworked. I actually just think
because I would remind you to do. You're very forgiving to me. You're very forgiving to me because I often have to juggle 2 small children. Not literally,
hellions, you mean,
but maybe often literally. And yeah, it is more difficult for me to be as plugged in. But Xbox Era wouldn't be where it is without that initial investment of time and effort from you, and I have to give some kudos to Amanda, obviously, for supporting you. So A little. But yeah, cool question. Hytham G, he says, executive producer, Hytham G, I believe. Is he executive producer? Maybe I'm wrong.
You're a liar.
I retract that statement. You should be, Hytham. Think about that. So the more it gets worse for Xbox, what would be the worst case scenario if it gets more worse on the direction they're going? And did Sega been through the same thing Xbox has been going through with layoffs and killing their studios? So I think translating here, did Sega go through this before as they went on their journey to becoming third party?
No,
Did they go through a studio layoff, or did they just go, yeah, we
weren't as plugged in. I don't think many people had any idea what was going on back then. Like, it was so different.
K might not be there.
But no, it was just like they were getting less and less of the hardware market share, and there wasn't other ways to make money. It was your hardware sells stuff, or that's it. There wasn't this constant revenue possibility from all these different angles. They weren't on PC. They just had their own console. So if that console didn't make them enough, that was it. That was how it worked.
And by the way, they were also on their knees, and as soon as it was done, they had to make a deal with Nintendo in order to get. I think that's when the Sonic and Mario at the Olympics thing started. Like they needed Nintendo to bail them out. That's not the world we live in with Xbox. Even if they decide we're done,
super rich.
You know what I mean? So I think that's not really an apples to apples comparison. Even if they do go full third party, they're going to show you something different we haven't seen before.
You know where so much comes from is there just really is an undercurrent in coverage of people who don't think Xbox has put anything good out in years. Like they really don't think there's been a good first party game at all for years, and something like Ori then doesn't count. But then on other platforms, first party publishing counts. It's like it's always.
I'd say Halo Infinite was great. Like even the campaign was great. I'm salty because I wanted more.
Yeah, it comes down to genres a lot of times, and IP people love. Their nostalgia can drive something really hard to make it bigger in their eyes. Like Forza Horizon 5 is an enormous game and a massive success, but it's not in the right genre, so it doesn't count. Or Flight Sim makes tons of money with all of its DLC and shit and has tons of players. But again, it's not the right genre. Pentiment, very big game, despite being a tiny team, tiny budget. Done great, won tons of awards, but it doesn't count because it's not the right genre. It's not big enough. It's not pretty enough. You need something like Alan Wake 2, which doesn't make any money. Like simulator in it. Yeah, it's... So much of the big money makers, and Baldur's Gate 3 was a huge exception, aren't always the most successful or biggest money making because they cost so much. Like Baldur's Gate 3 cost a lot of money for a studio like that. It was a unicorn.
What about
but they made it back.
Starfield?
Yeah, no, Starfield was a financial success, and at first it was a critical one. It got dragged really hard about a week after launch, when a lot of the places that just didn't get review code had their reviews start hitting.
I love that game. I have like 60 days in that game. I can't wait to go back into it. I don't know how anybody gets.
I'm waiting for the patch. I'm waiting for
the patch. Is fantastic. So I'll stream it the day of if I can on Xbox. I already streamed PC. It's really good. It's going to be very interesting to see the different modes. I'll try them all out. And yeah, I know people call me like, oh, your favorite game ever was Redfall. I was like, no, it's just a game I liked. It was a fun co-op thing. But at the same point, like Microsoft tries to have variety in a way that I think helps a lot, but it hasn't been the award bait. It hasn't been the Oscar bait like you see in Hollywood, where people freaking for how long was Leonardo DiCaprio desperately trying to figure out how to win an Oscar. So you just always have that stuff.
Yeah. Hytham has a PS. Last week you missed my Star Wars question. If Lucasfilms is making more Star Wars movies like episode 10, 11, and 12 and moving forward, your gents take. I have zero interest in Star Wars. I outgrew it a long time ago.
The next thing is the Rey movie. I'm really excited for the Acolyte. Looks awesome. I like the High Republic time frame is really cool. We're going to have a book podcast for Star Wars that focuses on the High Republic because my wife really likes it.
What's it called?
Sith Happens. Yeah. So we're gonna have that. She keeps wanting to record it, and then I'm too tired or something. But we will get it done for patrons only.
My only thing that I'll say about Star Wars is, give me anything Filoni-verse. If you haven't seen The Bad Batch, go watch The Bad Batch.
I gotta watch that one. That's the only thing I haven't seen yet. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
He cannot do any wrong. Now I need to see some people in IRL. I'm not gonna spoil it, but you gotta watch The Bad Batch. It's awesome.
It was so Andor was legitimate, incredible prestige TV. It is far and away the best thing Star Wars has ever had, in my opinion. But Ahsoka, really, really good. Kenobi was okay, but Kenobi was a casualty of COVID, really hard. You could tell the way they were filming and it delays and shit. But I'm as someone who's not the biggest Mandalorian fan, I have liked pretty much everything else a lot. And I need to watch Bad Batch.
I get really bored. Like, it's all just shit.
Entertainment.
Yeah, I literally don't care.
But you watch Bluey.
Bluey tells better stories in 7 minutes.
And it makes you feel like a bad parent every time because they do it way better than you.
I would prefer to say it makes me want to be a better parent.
Yeah, sure. It makes me feel inadequate every time
I don't need it because I'm already phenomenal. Both of my kids are grown and they're great.
There you go. Nailed it.
There you go.
Thank you, Hytham. Next up, 99 Rukin says, hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day, besides the BS Xbox news we had earlier this week. What I want to ask and wait for another time, but here's a fun question. Can we change the Xbox Era podcast to Nick and Friends? And when Nick's not there, we call it minus Nick and Friends. Thoughts? I'm not down with it. I'm not down with that.
No.
P.S. I know Nick won't be here, but when he hears this question, he would agree with it. I'm just saying. There you go.
See, but people would know it doesn't work because it would be Nick and Friends. It's like, who would those people actually be? They don't exist.
Yeah, it's a true story. Next up, Omen. What an awful week. Now that we know Xbox isn't afraid to be ruthless with studio closures. I did. Sorry, I'll go back to it. Do you think these studios and the game developers in them will ever make enough money to not feel like they have a target on their back? Is this just how the industry will always be? I thought Microsoft would be an exception to this trend thanks to Game Pass, but clearly it is not. We've spoken a lot about it, but I think, again, you're channeling into that. You and I'd argue a lot of the Xbox fan base and a lot of the industry heard over the years all of the talk, all of the niceties of, come into our umbrella, Game Pass will allow you to thrive and all of that, and it's not true. And that has caused...
Well, it's not true if Game Pass doesn't keep growing enough.
Yeah,
but
exactly. So
it's also the fact that they always had to pay their own bills. You're not allowed to just not make money. And if you're a small team that's working on one project at a time, that project takes like 5+ years, and the entire rest of the time you're not making any money. Yeah, any giant company that is so money and data driven is just not going to pay attention to. They're not going to be okay with that forever.
Yeah, but it is awful. But yeah,
they could be okay with it forever. They could easily afford it forever, but they won't because that's just not how it works. Because
business, yo. Capitalism, yay. Lee Layfield, Xbox Era patron, says, well, that just happened. Obviously referencing all of the layoffs. Aussie Nick must have known. It's the only logic and rumour speculation option we have for why he's not on the podcast this week. # confirmed by Jez. Have a great weekend. Go play some games. Good advice, Lee. Good advice.
But it's Mother's Day in Australia, so it was known, as they would say in Game of Thrones, or this is known.
I thought he was filming season 3 of Halo.
Not renewed yet because they've got a horrendously bad offer in from Sony, who wants to buy them and then chop it all up and try and sell off different divisions. It's a horrible offer, and they can't afford it very easily either. It's very dumb. I'm very confused.
I thought this whole purchase is a psyops by Sony to stop Halo from getting great. It is what it is.
Bastards.
Yeah. Halo getting great. Because it wasn't. Next up, Creaky Legs. Hail, if you...
Oh, darn. What happened to John's microphone? Oh, no. Oops.
Was that revenge for me saying that the Halo TV show kind of
No idea.
sucks?
I'm not even tapped. I had to go look into it. I didn't even know what happened.
Oh, okay. Wow, man. Bitter. Creaky Legs. Hey all, if you're wondering where I've been lately, I was living in the year 95, thousands of years ago in our future. Xbox and PlayStation are just Roku sticks that cost $500 a month to use. And Nintendo, still fine actually. Lately, I've mostly been getting... sorry, I've got to go. The repo men are here to take back my Apple Vision Retinas. Clearly, Creaky Legs is in the future. I've got to give a shout out to Creaky Legs. He runs, or they run our TikTok account. And they do a lot of the YouTube shorts. And I often find them absolutely brilliant. Like, they'll scour through the entire 4-hour podcast and pick a funny moment and just nail it with silliness. And it's really good fun. So big shout out to Creaky Legs. Next up, Skedaddle. Hey guys, what are your thoughts about these FTC leaks from last year now? Specifically, the Fallout 3 remaster and Ghostwire Tokyo 2. This was the release schedule leak that came out of the FTC trials with the Elder Scrolls 6 confirmed for 2026. Yeah, I don't know about Ghostwire Tokyo 2. I don't know about Dishonored 3.
Well, it might have been like pitches and things, but also Ghostwire Tokyo 2 could have been the plan if Ghostwire Tokyo 1 did great, and it didn't.
And it did not.
So it would make sense why it wasn't a thing.
Yeah, it does make sense. Equally, a Fallout 3 remaster and an Oblivion remaster, they make sense if you've got a team, a support team working on those in the background whilst you're beavering away on the Elder Scrolls. That's probably a good idea to do that. New Doom.
Sure, Fallout's so successful right now.
Yeah. If I were Microsoft, I would be, even if it was just a title card announcement, I would be doing that.
And people will lose their minds that it's only a title card.
Yeah, I would just do it. Just say, yeah, we hear you. We're spinning up a dev team. Boom, here you go. We hear you again.
We're hiring all the people we just fired to make new Fallout.
God. But there you go. We'll see. Anorexic. Hello, esteemed gentlemen. I just realised I posted a 5-paragraph rant and I didn't even ask a question. I have a lot of ire for Microsoft as a corporation for what's happened in the past week, and John's video summed it up well. I love the balanced takes from XboxEra. Hey, man, stop mirroring my video.
What?
Which ties into my question. Whereas XboxEra has been relatively balanced, much of the discussion isn't. A lot of the clickbait and hyperbole around game discussion, every time I see the word hyperbole, I want to say hyperbole, is leading to real-world ramifications with jobs lost. Do you think that any of these people pushing the idea that X game is horrible and shouldn't be given a chance will come to their senses?
No.
I think this is referencing the whole, poor old Redfall got absolutely dragged way beyond how bad it actually was. Will they see their role in shutting studios down? Microsoft, with its trillions, should be able to withstand it, so I'm not letting them off the hook here, but with many publishers and developers can't survive bad faith slander and hyperbole targeting their products.
As we've said, Microsoft could survive all of it for the next millennia and be fine. They just don't want to, and they choose not to. So
yeah. What's your take on that, Kay? Do you think that the media has a role to play when they, before a game's even out, are already saying this is shit?
I think it's there's a take in between there somewhere that's good, because look at what's going on right this moment right now, right? And I'm not saying that's what we are accused of doing right now, but when is the June showcase? And already it's eroding. Either they do it themselves, or somebody comes up with the news that all of it is going whole slate. It's all going third party. You have a responsibility to potentially report what you see, but it seems like systematically every time there is good news on the horizon, it must equally parts, gloom and doom must follow or must precede it, and it's becoming a bit patternistic to the point where you just kind of expect it,
When you have a bad week like this, a whole bunch of bad rumors are going to hit. They're just all going to start coming out from the woodwork. Well, I've been hearing. Well, I've heard. Well, I also heard that. And then it's just like, maybe some of it's true. Maybe some of it was true.
Leaking ship.
Yeah. Well,
and
it's
then
not even.
Sometimes
it's just made up bullshit. You never know. That's the annoying part. You just don't know.
And the really fun bit is then after people have leaked things or reported things, there's a difference, I think. You'll get people going, well, Microsoft's messaging is really bad. I was like, they haven't said anything.
They haven't
made
anything.
A message.
Yes, absolutely.
But it's their messaging that's bad. Yeah. Is it? Is it bad? Or are we ascribing it being bad because we're all in an uproar about
people take the mix
story.
Of them walking things back or saying something but then not following through or changing up as being the initial bad messaging. It's like the initial messaging is normally fine. It's quite often then 30 leaks come out that might counteract what that messaging is. And so that seems like bad messaging when it is just more they're a company that leaks nonstop and everyone devours leaks nonstop and never thinks, oh, I don't like these leaks that hurt this dev, but I love these leaks that hurt this pub. And like it's all the same shit.
Yeah.
It's like it's all just insider. The insider culture has taken over so hard. And I love Nick, but I hate it. I hate that culture. I can't stand it.
I know you hate it. I know.
It's very boring.
I hope that's answered some of those questions for you, Anorexia. Thank you very much.
And by the way, you can get a sheriff's hat for your cat in Little Kitty Big City.
I know my son was wearing it today, and a duck-billed cat hat,
it's
and
like over 40 of them.
Witch's hat. Executive producer, Assassin Entertainment. Hello to John, Jesse, and Captain Keys. Sad to say, it's been a few days since the bombs fell, and I'm still beyond pissed off. The fact that my inner circle are also Bethesda content creators doesn't help the situation, and it feels a lot more personal. My hype and trust in the brand is almost non-existent, and I don't know if I want to get it back. Tango and Arkane Austin may not have been my favourite studios, but Dishonored and Hi-Fi Rush are special games that have a place in my heart. My question is, do you think that there's anything the Xbox team can do to fix this situation? I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but maybe you guys will have an answer for me, because I don't think even the June showcase will help. Thank you guys for all the hard work. Appreciate you all. If you're asking, do I think public pressure will make Microsoft reverse this? No. This is done.
This was them fixing a situation.
Yeah, from their perspective.
Yeah, for them, they were too stretched. They needed to cut costs, and this made the most sense. This is them fixing a problem, like the public perception problem. They're just going to try and have a good showcase, put out a ton of games. That's going to be it. There's nothing else they could do. They're not going to talk their way out of it.
I don't know how you feel about this, Kay, but I see them being a lot more like Sony and Nintendo going forward. A lot less communication because they don't have to anymore. They don't have to. They don't owe. And I disagree. I think they do owe.
They do owe the people
a lot. And I think that's the mistake that they have perhaps made. But, you know, they don't have to talk to anybody. And I think that if they pull back too far, I think that's going to be a big shame for them. And I don't think it will end well, but that's just my thoughts.
What I try to tell people on my shows and the content that I make is there are those who really try to lean on brand loyalty and all of that. That's the wool they pull over your eyes so they can later on disappoint you. Keep very focused on what you get and what others offer. The minute they don't offer you what you think you're worth or what you want, get the step in. Vote with your dollars. That loyalty stuff just ends up betraying you. I enjoy the brand. I will continue to enjoy the brand. I said it before. I have the shirt on. I don't have a tattoo on my back. You know what I'm saying?
Straight.
And one day they will do things that will excite me. And then when they don't do things that excite me, and then I will turn on my PlayStation and I will play, you know, Animal Well. I'll have a great time there.
And most people will just go to PC because that's where everything is going to be.
I'll go to PC. Exactly. You know,
like
I started a movement. # get a PC. And I don't mean purchase one. I mean understand one. And then you know what it's capable.
Yeah, the moment you feel respected or loved by a brand, you have been fooled.
Yep.
Well, yes and no. I think
people within,
Xbox's,
yes. The actual company, no.
Yeah, in Xbox's case, I think that because of their third place status, they worked very hard to cultivate and build with the fans that they did have. And that unfortunately means that when they do things like this, more than any other fan base, in my opinion, they are incredibly vocal, and not in good ways. In some ways, they are just as much of a benefit as they are as a weakness for Microsoft from a general mood perception, because if they don't like something, you will never stop hearing about it from Xbox specific content creators. They will just go on and
they
on.
Will sit in a Discord or on a forum all day, bitching and bitching
because they feel like the relationship already exists, that they're going to be listened to, and that, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that is not always the case. I'm afraid.
People always say they don't want it to become EA or Ubisoft because you're apathetic. I think that's what Microsoft wants, because when EA does you wrong, you go, that's EA, you move on. On Xbox's side, when they do you right, you're flying to LA, I am, and going to see them do all this, and it's awesome. But the moment they're not doing what you want, it's almost like they're snipers in the backyard ready to pick them off. You're on the streets, you're holding pitchforks. It's not in their best interest to have the community like they used to. It sucks, but we can't have nice things.
Yeah, it's a shame. Last three. Good old Collingwood. Happy Mother's Day, John K and Jesse. Not Mother's Day over here. That was back in March, my man. But if you're in Australia, happy Mother's Day to your mothers. So John is going to Los Angeles for Xbox Game Showcase, Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, IGN Live. Say hi to Ryan. I'm not going to go to IGN Live. And the other events. What are you looking forward to? What are the things you want to do to make it a successful trip? That's a good question.
Los Angeles hookers. He's told me already, but he can't say it.
I'm looking forward to meeting good friends.
Hookers? Excuse me.
Like the wonderful Kay Asante here, in the flesh for the first time. I'm looking forward to some of the conversations I've already got scheduled. And yeah, I'm just looking more than anything else, because from my perspective, and apologies if this is a bit of a tangent, being in the UK is often tricky. Sometimes the news happens in the middle of the night, which is why I'm very lucky to have so many US folks on the team to cover stuff. But often a lot of the really good ways in, if you know what I mean, the networking side of it, the interpersonal relationships are American. And to actually be out there and meeting and shaking hands and schmoozing, for want of a better phrase, to further
networking
what we want to do as a publication, as a company, I think is enormously beneficial. And obviously I will be looking to cover as many cool things as humanly possible and produce a bunch of content for everyone. So that's the general plan. Outside of that, I've got some folks from the XboxEra team heading out to help, so that's what we're going to do. But it should be fun.
I got caught in the chat. The Sousa. I had my mom. Only parental figure I have is Papa Phil Spencer.
Wow, they retracted the message. Okay. Papa
Too
Phil.
late. It's now. Look, it's just on the stream. Can't get rid of it.
You lost it. The internet never forgets.
Never forgets. But yeah, I am looking forward to it. And again, all of it has been made possible by our patrons. If you want to donate, if you're watching right now and you want XboxEra to get more access, better coverage, we are crowdfunding to help pay for everything, because we're a teeny company, right? I can't stress that enough. We struggle every month. And our patrons make so much possible. But if you want to see more from us, help us get out there. We're trying to cover cost for not just Summer Games Fest LA, but for Gamescom, which is the first time the whole team will be here in this building. We'll do a podcast live from my front room with Nick, Jesse, myself. I think even Soul Blazers may be there. And then we're going to fly out to Germany and do Gamescom and do a podcast live from Gamescom if we can as well. Hotels and flights for all of that is like nearly $8,000. So if you want to help us out, there's a PayPal link on the website. You can see it at the top.
It's in the chat.
I think
it's
Jesse will put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Help us out if you can. Like, every little penny helps. We're crowdfunding all the way through up till August, just to help take some of the sting off, because $8,000 for a company without a lot of money is quite
Asantes.
8K Asantes. I couldn't afford it. And yeah, there you go. Last two questions. Hugh, Hello, gents. First, may I say, good job on the Has Microsoft Forgotten What Gaming and Xbox is All About piece, John. It's very well constructed and thought out. Thank you, sir. Jesse doesn't like it. I'm sure the studio closures will be discussed to death. However, I just wanted to ask one thing. Regardless if a studio is profitable or not, if it's critically acclaimed and winning awards, is it not the responsibility of the owner, Xbox, to assist them in fixing their shortcomings and turn them around? Hi-Fi Rush was literally the first game Tango published under Xbox management, and it won a BAFTA for Xbox. To me, these recent closures suggest that Xbox are not fulfilling their responsibilities to studios. It also comes across as if Xbox are treating them as standalone indie studios, and in my opinion, it doesn't bode well for the future of their studios. We still haven't heard about the fate of Harvey Smith, who created Dishonored and the designer on Thief and Deus Ex. I'm sure he and his teams have a ridiculous amount of awards between them, and he definitely has another award-winning game in him. If he was one of the 96 that Xbox made redundant from Arkane Austin, then they're more foolish than I could have possibly imagined. I understand they're a business, however, it's clear more than ever that they don't want great exclusive, they just want money, and thus will simply become another EA. Q, you're not holding back there, bro, in your thoughts, and I get it.
I think, and this is just I'm not breaking any tea. I think Harvey Smith still has a job. He is still working at Arkane. He was not let go with this round. I'm almost positive of that. I've been doing some digging, and that I know. I think he still has a job. Yeah. So there's that.
That's good to hear. But yeah, I understand the sentiment, Hugh, and I think that also is another reason why people are very upset, and I don't blame you. I will be here through thick and thin to bring you the best coverage of everything and the balance takes where we can, right? Where we're not going to get all like flipping desks and stuff, because it doesn't serve a purpose. It doesn't educate anyone. It doesn't inform anybody. It's just, here's my rage. Enjoy it with me. And like that's not, in the long term, that's not healthy. Hopefully the way we do things helps, especially when we have people like Kay with us as well, who are, I think, ascribe to the same mentality. If I may be
not
so
Nick,
bold, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Next week, if you are anti-rage,
whoever is on with Nick, because it won't really be me much. My headset will be off most
Jesse
of the show.
Will just be hiding. Oh dear. Last question. It's the end of the show, Trav. Hello, John, Kay, and the degenerate that is Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is Microsoft's Xbox's actual plan going forward, and do you think that plan is realistically achievable? I'm sure they have a strategy, but it lately feels like their strategy is to simply piss off their fan base and give ammo to an industry that already seemingly hates them and wants them gone. There's some home truths in there. I mean, we already discussed what we think the strategy is, and I think we're all kind of like, we've got bits of the puzzle, right? But we don't know. Do you know, Kay? I don't know. You're muted, my friend.
Absolutely not. No,
he does not know.
If you hear Kay Asante say he knows, he's wrong. Nope, no idea.
Yeah. They want to make money. How they are just going to decide to do that? Not sure.
Mm-hmm.
If I knew,
probably
I'd have a
loads
job
of games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to want. They are going to want to
games everywhere.
They're going to want to sell their games and services. They're going to want to not lose money in every division they can, and they're going to want to make money in every division they can. But the best way they think that's going to happen, whether they succeed or not, I don't know. They're succeeding now, just not in the way we like. They're making plenty of money, but they want to make more.
Not enough.
Yeah. That's always the thing.
Figure.
They're making more money than God. They're making insane amounts of money, but we look at them as in third place. But for the actual companies, the thing they care about is how much am I keeping every quarter, and is it going to be more than the last? Is it going to be more than the previous year? Their goals will never align with what we want. And it's annoying as shit.
There you go. That's the only answer we can give. We don't know.
It's annoying as shit. Oh, cash. Yeah.
Also that. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't feel brief, but it was really. It flew by. 3-hour show. I think that we covered a lot of conversation. I have to give a big shout out to the chat for being mostly. Decent. Yep, and we had a few trolls. We dealt with them quickly. We appreciate you guys coming to hang out with us. I hope for many that are feeling hurt and upset and lied to or betrayed or whatever the case may be, and I'm not dismissing your feelings. None of the team are. But we hope that maybe some of the discussions today is perhaps helped and made you feel a bit better, and maybe given you even a little bit of hope that not all is quite lost yet. It really depends now on the June showcase and what their messaging is, because they can't expect 5 weeks of silence. If they break that, great, but expect it. But I think they have to answer some questions in June, and I think we'll find out more then.
I don't think they will. I think they'll just show games.
Maybe. But I'll be in LA also trying to find out answers to those questions directly for you, and we'll report what I can when I can. Kay, I also have to give a big shout out to you. You'd already done a 4-hour show of your own today, and you've come and done another 3 hours with us. It's effectively an entire working day sitting in a chair listening to angry Xbox.
A working
people
K.
About Grr. Yeah. Hey, the jokes keep on rolling.
I spent the first 4 hours standing and the last 3 hours sitting. So that's
fair. As long as you're relaxed and comfortable.
One big final super chat from executive producer Assassin Entertainment. We already know what they want. They want games that win prestiges and awards that gamers live in. Wait, insert Pikachu shock face. Again, that article I like Tom Warren of The Verge. That article on The Verge, I don't like. It is very leading, and it does not have context. Could be unbelievably stupid, that quote. It could be as dumb as it gets. I don't know from that article.
Yeah, well, we'll find out. I'm sure more info will be coming, but just be prepared to wait like a good month of just stewing around the same topics.
Just play Hellblade.
It's going to be great. Yeah, or play Hellblade next week.
Play Little Kitty Big City.
Week after
play
next.
Play Animal Well. Play 1000, whatever the hell that anime woo-woo shit is on PC.
Kay, thank you again for hanging out with us for 3 hours. Just in case there's anyone that is not lucky enough to already know where you are, how to follow you, how to subscribe to your channel, could you please pimp yourself out in the best way humanly possible?
Pimp myself out in the best way possible.
Yes.
Okay, well, first and foremost, I'll say thank you guys. It's always an honor to be on this air. I've been a fan. I'm a proud Patreon subscriber. Mm-hmm. I always enjoy watching you guys. Actually, I feel bad because I don't get to watch you guys as much as I usually do because now I work in an office, so I catch you guys.
It's hard, isn't it?
It sucks. It sucks. But yes, I'm very honored to receive the call. The bat signal goes up, and I'm happy to be here.
If I ever need anyone, it's Kay free. It's just you just gel with us, man. You gel with us.
You're above
really
Nick.
well.
It's wonderful.
Don't tell him that.
Stop it. I look forward to meeting you guys individually and together, both in LA and in Germany, because it's going down this year.
It's going to be hot.
Already there. Absolutely. I'm super excited. So thank you guys so much. You can catch me and my stuff. So on Saturday mornings, Eastern Standard Time in these here United States, you will find me and my brother, Mr. Everborn Saga, on the Gaming Circle podcast. We also spoke in depth about a lot of this stuff and the community sentiment. We had a pretty good show, 4-hour show. It was one of those things, but yes, it was great. We had a great time. We had a lot of people watching, so come check that out on Monday nights. And I'm looking forward to this Monday night. Myself and my other co-host, Mr. John Wolf, we host a more PC centric show. It turns into handhelds. It turns into just just talking to the community about people who are quote unquote PC curious. Somebody always thinks that's really weird.
I love it.
But yeah, we talk about PC. We talk about handhelds. We will definitely be talking about the ROG Ally X this Monday night, which is their 1.5 variant that will potentially be announced. So a lot of fun conversation to be had there. If you have questions, that's where we'll answer them, how to get you into those waters and all of that. So come check us out. That's usually Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But once again, I really appreciate you guys being here with me and having me on. If I'm not here, I'm usually in the chat, just like with slander. So I appreciate being here.
I love
Thank you guys so much. Yes.
No, dude, absolutely love it when you come on, and really thank you for taking the time out. Jesse, another week wrapped up, another episode. We will be back, won't we, my friend, on Tuesday for another episode of Xbox Era Headlines. If you're new to the channel, Xbox Era Headlines is a short, succinct, twice-a-week podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 hour of your time, as much gaming news as we can squeeze into it with our thoughts and perspectives alongside it. Feel free to tune in then. We'll be back on there. Expect some coverage and bits and pieces. What can I expect out of Xbox Era this week? Well, anything you can say publicly?
For this month, I would say, upcoming the month of May, we'll have reviews on Hypercharged Unboxed. We'll have a review on System Shock Remake for console. We'll have a review on Braid Anniversary Edition. We should make the list for Hellblade 2. Hopefully we'll make it twice, because then I'll get to do a bunch of other SEO and guide stuff on it. Also, I'm trying to get Humanity, because that's coming to Game Pass. We'll have a Game Pass drop on Tuesday, so we'll get more information on that. But yeah, we always just have way too much stuff for how small our team is.
And if I can, I'll try and persuade Jesse to do another episode of the Day One Game Pass show, because we really do like doing that show.
We did miss it for April.
It'd be nice if more of you watched it. Just saying. Anyway, until then, thank you, chat. Thank you to all of our patrons, everybody in the chat that chucked out the super chats. We love you guys for it. It really does help. We'll see you next time. Ciao for now.